Hello and welcome to the Invincible podcast, probably the best superhero podcast in the universe. This is a show where friends gather and talk all things Invincible, a comic book and now animated series by Robert Kirkman, Corey Walker, and Ryan Ottley. I am one of your hosts, and joining me as always are Ryan.
I'm Ryan, and that is Bill.
Did I say
You didn't say
Ryan?
your name.
Oh, whatever. People know me by now if they don't. And Wyatt.
Hey, everybody.
And if you're watching on YouTube, now you see he's back in action, the sweet one.
It's the sweet one. And TJ.
There he is.
He's here.
Awesome. So welcome to our Season 2, Episode 3 breakdown. This is a huge episode that we've got for you. If you guys wanted to, we have a ton of emails to cover. Unfortunately, we're not able to read all of them today. Maybe we'll get back to them. But you can email us too at theinvinciblepodcast@gmail.com. We're all over Twitter, or X as it's called now. The most exciting X, the most exciting forum to find us on is YouTube, where you should absolutely subscribe because we always drop a lot of fun videos on that. Spotify. We have a website that Ryan painstakingly updates all the time, where you can find all of our episodes. I don't even know what's on it, honestly. It's got a lot of great stuff on
there.
Feels like I bookmarked it once and never went back.
TheInvinciblePodcast.com. TikTok, we've got a lot of fun TikToks coming out. Wyatt does a lot of those. And also, if you guys could, it's been a while since we've gotten any reviews over on like Apple. That helps.
I looked today, and we have, I think it's 4.8 out of 5 stars, and I want to say we're at 98 reviews. And those aren't all written reviews. Some people can just rate stars and then, don't leave any words.
Yeah.
But we're at 98. You could be our 100th review. Just saying.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah. And I don't know. Are people going to rush to be the 99th, or are they going to try to wait and then we're just going to be stuck at 98?
We'll read both of them. We'll read both of them.
99's great too, 99's not bad.
Yeah, that's like
99's a great issue.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, 99 before you get over the, that's like the most exciting part of anything, a roller coaster. And
it's the boost. It's the boost. They're giving a boost.
All those reviews really help out with, people being able to find the podcast when they search it. We'll get a little bit closer.
Exactly. So all those people that comment on YouTube, just throw those comments over in a review for Apple if you've got it. Also,
go ahead.
No, go ahead, TJ.
Speaking of YouTube, one thing we should have brought up before, but like during the lull of Invincible, while we were waiting for season 2, we put out a lot of videos. So head over to our YouTube, and like we just reposted on our Twitter, or on my Twitter, and the Invincible podcast, like retweeted it. But Invincible Trivia is there. We've done some unboxing videos. We've done what else? So the action figures. We've done Hot Ones challenge. We've done a lot of stuff, especially this year, earlier this year. So if you are rediscovering our podcast or discovering it for the first time, and you love the Invincible comic series, take a little deep dive into our YouTube. There's some stuff. There's some good stuff.
Some of the more random fun videos are on the invinciblepodcast.com under fun videos, and there's the whole collection of them there. So there's that.
There you go. Yep. You learn something new every day. That's your one-stop shop.
All of the other ones that are not in that category are not.
They're just not fun.
So no, now they're just not fun.
This one,
who
knows? Who knows where?
It's a lot of work. Yeah. So lastly, this is a podcast where we are first and foremost fans of the comic book. So we may get into spoilery, areas once in a while. We try to keep it, we respect that new listeners, especially if you found this podcast, you probably did some searching and you're excited to talk about the show. So we really do try to keep it, but if you go back and you listen to past episodes, they are spoilery. So if you want to go into, season 2 blind and not know anything, don't listen to older episodes. The titles usually give stuff away, so you wouldn't listen to those. But there's also our season 1 recap. We had a lot of fun with those. We had a lot of creators. We had Robert Kirkman on. So again, if you're new to our show, go back, delve into YouTube, go to theinvinciblepodcast.com. Lots of great stuff on there. Maybe there's prizes if you go to it. We don't know. I don't know.
There's no prizes.
So first, before we get into our season 2, episode 3 recap, we're going to go over news, which luckily there's quite a
There's a
bit.
good amount, and it's only been a week.
Yeah, a lot of the news, honestly, it came out like within the last 2 days.
Yeah, there's a good amount.
Yeah. So first, Omni-Man is officially out on Mortal Kombat 1. Our live stream, you can find that over on our YouTube channel under live if you click that button there. And there's also highlights too if you don't want to watch the whole 2.5 hours that Ryan made us sit there and play it. Trying to break some sort of fucking record. Like, it's not a real stream if we don't go for 4 hours.
We made bagel bites. I mean, I don't know what the problem is here.
Yeah,
I'm
you guys were eating
I still have
snacks,
heartburn.
eating bagel bites. It was great.
Still got heartburn.
That was so much fun.
But that was
great.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. Omni-Man is, oh man, I could just imagine if they made an Invincible game, and because they did a fantastic job, like really making you feel like powerful, like
Like
Omni-Man.
right before we came in here to start recording, Skybound Games tweeted out a montage video of like cutting together all the moments from the comics to the moments in the game. It's so good. I still can't get over how cool that is and how much they actually nailed it.
Yeah, he really is like, because I when we were leading up to that, I played a bunch of Mortal Kombat just to like, familiarize myself with the game and tried to like try out different characters. He is without a doubt, I feel like the most fun character to play. And we're obviously biased a little bit to want to play as Omni-Man, but all of his moveset, the things that you can do in the game are just so much fun. I've been having a blast playing even after we finished our live stream.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's not just a cheap little money grab skin. Like there's a lot of fun stuff to do as Omni-Man. So definitely go and check that out. More fun news. So season 2, episode 1 tripled its viewership from season 1. Tripled
Like
it.
What?
That's season 1 was a success in Amazon's eyes, and this was tripled. This is insane.
If we had talked about it beforehand, I don't think I'm sure we did, but I don't know when or what. I would have expected it to be a little bit lower. Not only was the 2.5 year wait, but episode 1 of season 1 had that like shock factor at the end. Like, not that this one didn't, but it was a different kind of thing, and that went kind of viral with everybody jumping on. And from what I remember, that was a huge splash. I did not think it would be this. And I don't know, maybe we're just like so prepared for it to not, and always like nervous that it's going to get canceled at any moment type thing because we care so much. But man, I did not expect even double. The fact that it was tripled viewership.
Yeah. I was expecting it to be around the same, just because when a new series drops, a lot of people, you would think like the most watched episode is the first episode, because a lot of people will try it out. They won't care for it. It's not for them. Right. So I imagine that it would get a lot of viewership just for people checking it out to see what it's all about. But at the same time, when Invincible drops, nobody knows what Invincible is. Nobody really cares about Invincible. So I understand how it might lose some viewership there for season 1, episode 1. But that's why I would imagine like maybe it would be around the same, but tripled is insane. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah. It's such a like, it's a nice reminder that like it's doing well. It's likely, fingers crossed, obviously, that it continues to get renewed and gets more seasons, because, we are very much a lot of times in our own little Invincible bubble, with following Invincible fans and all of that stuff. So it's cool to see that like the widespread appeal of it has continued to grow at such a like huge rate. Yeah. It's awesome.
And I was on Amazon Prime or Prime Video yesterday, and series, it's still number 1. Yeah. It is still number 1.
And it will continue to be, especially after this episode, and then the next one.
Oh my gosh!
Whoa, look out! And then I bet you it's gonna like, once people get to watch all 4, it's gonna jump up again, because people are just gonna rewatch it. Yeah. I mean, don't forget. I mean, the title of the comic book is probably the best superhero comic book in the universe, and like, I'm starting to believe it. Like, we believe it because we know it. You know what I mean? But the fact that, probably it's getting there. Yeah. More news. So we have another video game. The mobile game is coming out very soon, I think, right?
Yeah, the Guarding the Globe mobile game will be out in February sometime.
Yeah.
So very soon. But to tie us over from that, we have an actual game that is available on Steam, PC, and Epic Game Store, and it's also free to anyone with an Amazon Prime account. It's the Adam Eve game.
Yeah. We've been talking about this leading up to it, the visual novel, like RPG type fusion game.
Mhm.
And we have all been.
Yes.
I think TJ, you haven't played it yet, right?
No,
No.
did
So
you?
I know that Wyatt,
Oh,
TJ, and I
I was about to be
haven't
so
played it
mad.
yet. Bill, you've checked it out a little bit. I don't want to know too much more than
Yep.
that. But we're going to be talking about it in depth in a future episode. Maybe even
Yeah.
hopefully having some of the creators on to talk more about it. Maybe do a little bit of a spoiler cast on it. There is so much to talk about though, so we can't get too much into it. But
Yeah.
we do need to, get it out there and let everybody know that this thing is out there. We will hopefully be doing a recording or a video of us playing at least some of it, just to get the initial impressions of what it's like.
Yeah.
So keep an eye out for that over on our YouTube channel.
And it's free on Amazon Prime, but
I-
guys, it's a Skybound game. It's
It's
$8,
$8.
$9. Go buy
Yeah.
it.
So,
Like go buy it.
so I
love
don't
it.
have. I have a
People-
Mac, and it's only available on PC currently. But I used Katie, my wife's PC, and I started messing around with it because I have Steam on there. Went through the Amazon thing, got it for free, but then I had to go through Epic to get it to open on Steam, and I had to download the Epic thing. So even though I already got it for free, I'm like, you know what? Paying the $8 on Steam, I don't care. I want to support this anyway. So you know what? Maybe it counted twice. I got the free one and the $8, so I don't care.
Yep.
So yeah.
And it's absolutely worth it. It's
Good to know. That's
absolutely
the
worth
first thing
it.
you've told us
Yeah.
about it. So you know what? Oh yeah,
Yeah,
go
100%.
get it.
Yeah.
It's $8, and it's like 6 to 8 hours. That right there. I mean, just the time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's awesome.
yeah, depending on how much time you spend on it, for sure. So a few more news pieces before we get into emails, which is going to be a big segment. Ryan, you're going to timestamp this too, like if people just want to get right into
Absolutely. You can find those in the description or on YouTube where it has the chapter breaks and everything.
or on theinvinciblepodcast.com. Just go to that, find the timestamps for the episode, and
That's
there
all
you go. It's all there. So a Funko Pop got announced, and it is going to be Omni-Man with the Think Mark Think moment,
it's
right?
called
As the
so they're
backdrop.
called
Is that
Funko Pop moments, where it's more of like a what is that called?
It's a scene.
Yeah, a scene. It's a
It's got-
diorama.
it's got like a background to
diorama.
it,
Like
yeah.
it's going to be in a box. It has the background, and it's going to be him in the pose with Mark in the pose. So there you go. There you have it. Funko Pops have been one of the things that have been on the list of what people want for literal years before the show was even a thing.
Yeah.
I've been saying it forever.
And it's the floodgate.
I feel like that's the
man.
moment.
As soon as
I feel
it
like
sells
that's
out, it's gonna boom, Tether Tyrant. Oh my god!
I mean, I feel like
Funko
it's
Pop.
also the moment of like before long we're walking in Walmart seeing Invincible merch that's like, oh yeah, that's all right, like it's just.
I feel like
we're gonna.
I feel like it's a sign like we're now seeing the effects of season 1 being a huge success, because obviously like it takes time to get these things made, whether it's the Adam Eve game or some of the news we're going to talk about in a minute, or Funko Pops. Like I think it shows that season 1 was so successful that now we're seeing all of it kind of cross over into other media the way that we hoped it would. So it's really cool to see, and especially knowing that season 2 was even more successful, to know that that's probably going to continue. Like you said, that we're going to start seeing, even merch as you walk into Target or Walmart or whatnot. It's really cool.
Speaking of which, there's new merch out there, guys, over on their Amazon page, and there is a lot of it. So there's a lot of repeats, but I have a Viltrum Empire shirt that has the red Viltrum Empire that Liz got me like 8 years ago, and you can't find it. It's back.
Is
baby.
it really?
It is. It's
Yeah.
back,
Yeah.
and it's a fucking hoodie. It's a zip-up hoodie.
It's a zip-up hoodie. It's a pullover hoodie. They have sweaters. They have like t-shirts. They have like what is it? Like the baseball jersey.
I like
thing,
the.
like
I didn't look too much into it. I saw the blue Invincible logo. It looks like paint dripping. TJ, you said something about Bergamart pillows.
So
we had those before.
I started to say like I had the Burger Mart pillow in my cart because I was going to get that. But then I opened up all the other merch, and there's a shitload of pillows.
Oh, really?
There's tons of different Invincible pillows. So I'm like, I need pillows. I want pillows.
Is there a
TJ and Ryan-
Rexplode pillow for you, TJ? Is there a Rexplode pillow?
There's no Rexplode.
Anything? Anything?
There's so much.
They're
merch.
making the figure.
There's so
the
much
figure is
merch.
coming.
This is confirmed. Skybound hates me. I mean, I'll take the action figure. Listen, beggars can't be
That's right.
choosers. All right, I'll take the action figure, and it's sweet and it's awesome, and I'll take it. But I need a shirt. I need a hoodie.
So-
I need something.
You
It's so
guys have
good.
been to my house. Why? I don't think you have, but we have this big C-shaped sectional downstairs, and Liz bought all these like very like, trendy pillows where it's like all pillows, and I'm just gonna
All
buy
Invincible
all
themed ones.
replacement pillows and replace it and just see how long it takes her
No,
to
no,
Just don't
no,
even say
do one
anything.
at a time.
Yes,
Just
there
do
you
one
go.
at a
One at a
time.
time.
That's good. That's good. No, I think I'd rather have the shock of like what
Yeah.
happened.
Where are
Like
my
this-
pillows?
They're there forever. Those are the
But
pillows.
not just
Honestly,
Amazon,
they're-
because Amazon was the big drop of like new Invincible merch on Amazon. But Skybound, the Skybound shop has been updating. I don't know if we've talked about it with the last couple episodes, that on the Skybound store they've updated with some new shirts and merch with each episode. Not quite as like themed to the episode as they were doing in season 1.
Mhm.
A lot of them are just kind of like general merch. But I got the Cory Walker cover shirt. This is probably
That's
my
awesome.
favorite cover of Invincible, so I had to grab it. Very excited. But yeah, lots of cool ones. A Dinosaurus shirt, right? That Bill
It's coming from me,
ordered
yeah.
immediately. So yeah,
You
lots
did
of
that
cool
to me,
merch out
Wyatt.
there.
You sent it and you
Yeah.
knew.
I
I
mean,
think you sent it
yeah.
on a Monday too when I had no money. And
What
I
if
have
I
to,
knew
like,
about
well,
it and I had
okay.
not sent it? You would have been mad at me. You would have been like, Wyatt, how long have you known this exists?
Yeah, it's true. The only thing is, I wish, and I'm probably the only one, is that I wish they had kid sizes because
Oh, yeah.
like they have a really awesome Adam Eve hoodie that I would just
Oh.
love my daughter to have.
Yeah.
But it's a unisex small, so maybe I'll shrink it and I don't know. She'll be
Yeah.
cute in it. Anyway, so two more news pieces. There's a very cool behind the scenes with storyboard artist and a director video.
Mhm.
But it's exclusive to Skybound Insiders.
There's
so if
There's like a trailer for it, like a teaser for it, available to everybody on Skybound's YouTube channel. But if you're a Skybound insider, you can find that link through that website. And that was also pretty cool.
Right.
Anytime you get to see behind the scenes stuff and listen to the creators talk is always amazing. So check those out.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. Yep. Which you can find on theinvinciblepodcast.com.
Nope,
Not
not that one.
Not that. That's not on there.
You can find a link to this episode where Ryan will tell you where to go
We'll
find it.
talk
Yeah.
about it. Yeah, exactly. And last but not least, something we've been talking about for a very, very long time finally got leaked. So Invincible is going to be in Fortnite. There's going to be 3 characters, the big 3, right? Omni-Man, Invincible, and Adam
Yep.
Eve.
There's
going to be a bunch of different options with back bling, different pickaxes. I think there's one emote that we've seen so
yeah, it
far,
was
right?
the baseball one. Yep.
Yeah,
Mhm.
which is very cool. And rap,
Very
and
cool.
then so we have
and
plans
one
to
of the
stream
craziest
that
things
as
that
well.
probably the biggest surprise is an awesome Ryan Ottley original like loading screen too, which looks amazing.
Yeah.
Um,
So cool.
Yeah.
yeah.
So Ryan, Wyatt, me, and another friend of ours, we've been playing Fortnite for the past like year,
Ever since,
Yeah.
and I feel like we did it
ever
because
since
like
Zero Build came out.
yeah. So I don't even remember why or how we got into it. Did we get into it because there were rumors that Invincible was coming
No, I think we just
to Fortnite, or no?
kind of
We
funny
just
with playing
jumped
it. We
on.
liked the idea of no build. We wanted to play something together, and it was free, and so we just jumped into it.
Yeah, and we really got into it. We've been playing it a lot
Yeah.
this past year, so I'm really
So,
looking forward to it. My favorite back bling, like they have like bling to put on like
I know
their
which
backs.
one. It's the only
It's
one that
the Immortal's head, and the
Yeah.
Immortal like
Blink
blinks and
reacts
stuff is like
around,
oh,
yeah.
God, so good.
Yeah. So
So
imagine
good.
walking around and that's all you see
Yeah.
is just the Immortal's face looking back at
Just,
you,
like,
which is
staring at
fantastic.
So we
Right.
don't have no official concrete plans yet because there's just so much. There's so much, guys. There's so much. We have no time. But yeah, we will be planning on a stream of that sooner rather than later with any number of us. We'll see.
Like
And
you
I may
said,
try
like in
it.
the,
I mean,
I
the
may
4
try
of
it
us
again.
and us.
Bill may try
Oh,
it.
we're
Bill
gonna
may
do it.
try it.
I want to teach Bill. I want to just have him running around in Fortnite and us
Yes.
messing around trying to teach him. It'd be so much
the
fun.
amount
We'll get him a
the
win.
amount that you were frustrated by Fall Guys, like I
Oh.
need you to bring that kind of angry energy into a Fortnite match
yeah.
when some random kid shoots you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
that
that's
kid.
just gold content waiting to happen,
Yeah.
Bill.
I
Yeah.
feel like you'd be good at
Yeah,
it.
it'd
Though.
be,
I mean,
I don't know.
it's a third person
Yeah.
shooter.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
forgot what I was gonna say, but-
So, if that's it, we got nothing else for news. We're going to delve right into our emails, of which there were so many.
Yes.
Um,
man.
so
Thank you.
many.
thanks-
Like,
yeah. So, again, if you want to send us more emails, you can go to theinvinciblepodcast@gmail.com. Keep the conversation going. So the way that it works is we talk about emails from the previous episode, the beginning of the current episode, because that's the way that we record it. We want to make sure that we have the most up-to-date intro. The recap that we did, we pre-recorded it. So that's where you're going to see a little bit different. But so I'll just jump right into the emails. There's a few that we weren't able to read, like I said. So special thanks to Scotty, Connor, and Tyler. We love you all very much. Very sorry that you couldn't get on this episode.
We
but
have so
maybe-
many
maybe
guys. We
go
have
next
so many.
time.
Sorry, but we did read them
Right.
all. Thank you all. And a lot of times it was a same question, asked again, or it was a repeat question, or and thanks for a lot of the love. A lot of you guys were sending very kind words about us, but to tighten it up a little bit, we had to tighten up these emails a little bit.
Don't be mad at us. We love you.
No, we love you. So some quick fire ones I'm going to go through before we each read longer individual ones. So we have one from Robert Flores. I really like how much Cory Walker's art is shining through the show and has synergy with the new trade paperback releases. Everything that you love about the Invincibles animation, Cory Walker. Any stills, the trades that are coming out, it's Cory Walker. I'm so glad that he's getting a lot more time to shine. Because obviously Ryan Ottley spent a lot of time in the comic book. So I'm glad that Cory Walker is definitely shining through. One from Doug. Hey guys, first off, love the podcast and that we are getting consistent episodes for the show. Just had a small thought that Mark taking Amber to Las Vegas might be a very subtle hint tease to where the future arc might take place. Hint, hint. Dinosaurus. I think we all thought the same thing.
That's pretty cool.
Yep. And then one from Jake Swartzy. Will the events of issue 50 happen?
Now, that was a much bigger email from Jake where he's talking about the teases that have been leading up to and all the things coming together where issue 50 events might be happening. And we don't have to get into more spoilery than just saying issue 50. And we've talked about this a little bit in our previous breakdown, especially when it comes to things that happen in Atlantis. I think it's very possible that the issue 50 events happen before season 3.
Yeah,
same.
100%.
I think it's going to be, episode 7 or 8.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, because the blue suit,
just hard
correct me if I'm wrong, the blue suit's 51, right?
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that the first time that he has the blue suit? And we know the title card, at least we assume the title card is leading to possibly teasing that. So I would say season 2 ends with the issue 50.
I can't see that happening in the same episode as Crazy Angstrom stuff, which means one of those things has to not be the finale, which is,
guys, we have been shocked.
I know.
Yeah.
In what they were able to put in even the last episode, especially this episode. I mean, this episode had things in it that were like, there's no way this is the same episode. There's no way. There's no way we got this plus this.
Yeah.
So who knows? Maybe issue 50 happenings could happen in the same fucking in episode 8.
True.
All right. So who wants to take an email first? Well, we've got 3 emails that have 3 doodles, and we'll save those for the end. So Wyatt, you've got one.
Yeah, I have one from Breck. He says episode 1 was phenomenal, and I called it from the end of season 1 that season 2 would start in the alternate dimension. Episode 2 was so full of action and parts of the comic. I did not think we would get Midnight City, Atlantis, graduation, and more in one episode. Ben Schwartz was the perfect choice for Shapesmith, and I wonder if he will voice the real Russ Livingston when he returns. I didn't even think about that. And that would be funny because it's very not comedic.
It has to be it has to be what Russ sounds like, because all the people around him would be like, why do you not sound like you?
Yeah.
So it's going to be it's going to be Ben Schwartz doing a more sinister voice, the one that has the sequence.
Probably. I would guess so.
Which is really cool to think.
Brett continues. He says, I do love Mark's reaction to flying into Midnight City as well and testing out the dark side, light side. That was a really funny part. Love that they are doing Debbie and love what they are doing with Debbie and showing us a lot of how she is handling the aftermath. Finally having someone call out Donald being alive. The theory about the title card, spoilers for non-comic readers, revealing the blue suit was spot on, and I cannot wait to see it in animation. I do love the changes with Atlantis and thought it was a great change. I do like the Angstrom post-credit scene, which will be which will be in effect until we get the confrontation. But what if this trend continues into another season for him recruiting for the Invincible War? Which is, I think, very interesting, and I think could definitely be a thing that they did continue into like season 3, where they kept that as a post-credit scene to continue building that and like make people wonder when is it going to come back really into the main story and keep giving you one more bit of like, here's another thing he's doing. I think could be cool.
Yeah, I think showing him go to an evil Mark serves a few purposes, and that's pretty smart. So thank you. I've got one here. This says, "Hello, Invincible podcast pals. Travis here, and the second episode of season 2 was packed with story." Because I called him Thetis last time. Remember that? Plus, can so much happen and not feel rushed or crammed into one episode. Plus, the emotional scenes hit harder than Omni-Man does. My shocking prediction is that Angstrom will kill Amber to get back at Mark, because Oliver isn't around yet. And I feel I feel like the Angstrom interdimensional fight will happen during the first 4 episodes, with the cliffhanger of Mark stranded in dead reality. How many different voice openings did your new BFF Ross Marquand act out for you guys? My original season 2 letter was meant to be a joke, but you guys put me in my place with the Aquarius Open in the previous episode, and now the possible Rudy for this episode. So that's it. We're done. We only got those 2.
Yeah.
But
I like spoilers. I tried to get Seth Rogen to do one for us for this episode too, but he's not returning my calls.
He ignored my DMs.
Yeah, he must be upset with us still.
But no, I thought it was fun that we got the 1, and then it was like, oh, surprise, there's actually 2, but no, it was just the 2. Thanks for this.
Holy fuck, that's a hot take.
Yeah, man. Thanks for this awesome
let me
podcast
finish the
that
email.
keeps Invincible fans entertained while new Invincible content and episodes are created. Love, Thetis. I'm Travis. Yeah, that's a pretty.
So just digging into that too, like in the comic, Amber just kind of like goes away a little bit. Like she comes back for like a real quick segment, right? In the comic. But beyond that, we never really see her. Again, we warned you at the start of this to be careful about spoilers. So
they're loose spoilers.
We never really see her after a certain So we never really see her after a certain point. So it makes perfect sense to kill her off. That's really cool. I like it. I think it's fucking
genius. I think it's fucking genius. It gives Mark a reason to don a different suit if he's super sad about stuff. It really like just finishes her story arc in a way that is if that were to happen, that is more satisfying in a way, even depressing than the comic book. Because to your point, TJ, she just kind of,
But here's my thing, Bill. Does Mark Grayson really need more reasons to be sad?
No.
Has this young man not been put through enough trauma? I feel like, and again, if they do that, I do think that is like a really clever idea, and it could be done really well and very emotionally, and like tie into like setting up his anxiety about things later on down the story too, that I think could be cool. I just don't want to because it makes me sad. But I'm sure if they do it, like, it'll be impressive.
Man, I don't know. I don't want that for Amber.
Here's
Amber's. Yeah.
Here's the thing. If we get an episode where Amber and him are just like fucking amazing, like the chemistry is great, it's just like, wow, they're great. That.
Well, I was about to say they're like,
I will.
The season 1 ended where it's like, oh, do I like Amber? Do I not? But she's been awesome. In these first couple episodes, like,
and no spoilers for episode 4, but the way their interaction ends in this episode, in episode 3, it's like
kind of makes me. Oh man, it's gonna happen. Fuck.
All right, who's up?
No.
That's the one negative about doing the podcast, is that we get all the great like predictions, and we get like Wyatt.
This wasn't even one of ours.
Shit,
this
and,
was a fan.
Always wrong.
Yeah, you
no, that's what I'm
don't
saying.
get around to blaming me again just because somebody else came up with a good theory.
We're gonna bring it back to you. No, we're always gonna bring it back to you.
Wyatt, you probably fucking emailed Thetis, and you're like, "Hey man, I have this really good hot take, but I don't want Bill to be mad at me anymore. So will you email this?"
Well, it's your theory now. It's not mine.
TJ, you're up.
I have an email too. All right. This one comes from Johnny. He says, "Hey guys, loving the new season. I became a fan after the first one aired and immediately devoured the comic. Found your podcast in the last 2 weeks after season 2 started, and it's been really fun going back to your coverage of the first season and hearing just how excited you guys are for the whole world to find out about and love Invincible. Keep it up. I had a fun idea for something that could happen. I won't call it a prediction because I don't think it's particularly likely. It's more of a it could be cool if type of thing. You've talked a few times about how the roster of heroes needs to be filled out, and a little bit on account of Amazon not having the rights to Brit, Tech Jacket, Spawn, etc. I was thinking about how there's been a much greater focus on Amber and how she has been shown uh, to be a much stronger character overall. It could be cool if they gave her powers in some way. Would be a good sorry. It would be a good way to keep her around in the story and would fill out the roster of heroes we invested in. It would make certain events a lot more impactful if characters we've come to know are involved and could be better than creating random new characters called like Anglo or Angry Dragon or whatever. What do you think? Would it be cool? Do you have any absolutely crazy ideas that you think could be interesting directions for the show to go in, even if they're very unlikely? It's the sweet one. It's the sweet one. Johnny, a fellow sweet
go.
one.
So
I need
how
him.
we just
I need him and Thetis to fight each other to try and debate what's going to happen with Amber.
Right.
Either she's going to die later this season, or she's going to become like the new
or
like,
both,
superpower.
or both. She becomes Powerplex,
and then dies.
right? She's Powerplex and then dies.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know seeing her get powers. I think there needs to be human characters in the show to make it what it is. It's kind of like The Walking Dead with having, it be about the humans. So I see what you're saying and I see why. But I don't know. I don't know if I could see them going with that. That is an out there idea and prediction or theory.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I don't know.
Do you guys have any absolutely crazy ideas that you think could be interesting directions for the show to go in?
So like
maybe like some characters in the comic that died like way too soon. Maybe keep them alive for like a little bit longer so that we can enjoy how cool they are.
No,
I think.
Would you want to take away that moment from Rex though, TJ? Would you want to take away? I feel like that's like the big moment that he has. I feel like you wouldn't want to take that away.
Spoil anything.
Yeah, there's something that
here.
like. Go ahead, Bill.
No, I don't.
No, I'm not going to say.
Because
I think a relationship that is much later in the series, I could see them going in a different direction and exploring something different with that. And it's a pretty main character relationship that it would be interesting. And I'm not sure if it's going to be complicated. It's going to be complicated.
Are you talking about what I predicted?
I don't know. But it's not Mark. It's nothing to do with Mark, but another main character relationship that I'm not sure if they can. It'd be difficult to pull off given what one of them have done. But I don't know.
Oh yeah,
we'll see. I could see that not happening, and I'd be curious to see where those stories would go without.
Are you talking about like the most controversial
Yes.
part that happened in Invincible?
Oh,
yeah, that's going to be tough.
Actually, I wasn't.
That's going to be. Oh,
I was talking.
There are, I would say, at least two things that either of you guys could be talking about. There are two.
I feel like we said spoilers at the beginning. I feel like you guys should just say what.
I mean, we're going deep. We're going way later. We're going way later though in the series. So if you have not watched the whole thing,
the relationship that Omni-Man is in for most of the later series, I'd be interested to see if they keep that. Because there have been times where I'm like, man, are they gonna do that? And I'd be curious to see what would happen if they didn't go that route and what that would mean for both of those characters. I know that's not completely different, but I don't know.
And I was talking about something that I should not mention on the podcast this early because it's way too spoilery.
Yeah,
I agree.
But there's something that happens that's controversial. If Johnny, this is from Johnny.
Yep.
Right, Johnny, if you're wondering, I think that might be something that could vastly change, not because of, I think maybe out of necessity. I don't know how well that would land um
I don't know.
in a show.
I mean,
I
as
don't know.
mature as the show already is, I
I
could
could see it
see it
happening.
even further maturing to where they could do something like
Yeah.
outlandish like that like very controversial type stuff.
Mhm.
I think they could pull it off.
But otherwise, as far as any off the wall crazy things that didn't happen in the books, not like, oh, what will they omit? Um, I don't know. That's a hard question because it's like it's essentially saying like what else could happen that
Yeah.
I
Dinosaurus lives and
you
is
and
the
TJ
hero
are both just like my
and
favorite guy who died. I don't want him to die.
Bill, you have an email from Fletcher.
sure, yeah. I had that one pulled up. That's so weird that you said that. Good day, gentlemen. Mere minutes ago, I finished episode 2 of this season and am writing to express my severe disappointment with this episode. That's not where I thought it was going. I am one of the many people who got hooked on the comic after having seen all of season 1. Maybe my favorite single issue of the run was 15, when Mark goes to Aquarius um, to marry Aquaria, goes to Atlantis to marry Aquaria. It was the issue that made me realize how great of a series Invincible was, and had me shaking my head with the absurdity of it in a good way. Having already seen the season 1 episodes of the Sequids and Reaniman, I remember reading 15 and thinking, I really hope this gets its own episode in season 2. However, I'm not a fan of the change they made in making it just about the fight. I get the point of the story they were trying to tell, how Mark is trying everything in his power to differentiate himself from his dad, plus plant the seeds of the future Mark versus Cecil conflict. But in doing so, they took out what made the issue and story so great and bonkers in the first place: the absurdity of the marriage arrangement and how it eventually gets involved. This episode also felt like it was trying to shoehorn Mark's trauma with things related to Omni-Man, i.e., when Eve brings up Chicago after graduation, when Debbie mentions him in their conversation in the kitchen, etc., in ways that didn't feel entirely natural. Maybe I'll like this episode more on future watches, but I have to admit I'm very disappointed after having looking forward to this episode for so long. Though the mid-credit sequence was incredible, parking in front, plus Cecilia and Donna were a real treat. Thanks for letting me ramble, and thanks for being the place where Invincible fans of all stripes can gather. Love. That one's for you, Bill Fletcher. You're not crazy. In fact, a lot of reviews from people who aren't fans of the comic, they already don't like, they complained about how the stories seemed too random. So I feel like if they did Atlantis just as random as everything else, it may have been like too over the top. But I get it. I completely respect that opinion, and I don't think you're crazy for thinking that. What do you guys think?
I think that if Atlantis had been done like, I think the closest analog would be like the Mars episode or even Titan. I think that it would be 15 seasons long. I think that it needed to be done, and I think they needed to compact a few things. And I think they wanted to get away and kind of, buck expectations when it comes to, oh yeah, you have to marry her. And I mean, they were speeding things up without having him,
Yeah.
meeting Lethan, I think his name was, and the suitor, and
Yeah.
that whole thing. I think it could have been a little too drawn out. I was happy with it. I enjoyed it. But again, I wanted to include this email because that's your opinion, and everybody should be. We want to
Yeah.
be able to share
Oh yeah,
everybody's stance.
for sure. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a strong opinion. I think I understand that too. But it's those. There are certain things that I don't want them to change from the comic. That needs to be. It needs to hit the same way. But it's these types of things, like in this particular scene, that I didn't like resonate with. Where it's like, oh, this is like my favorite scene in the whole comic
But if it
or the whole
was,
comic series. Was like, yeah, I that's why like I can understand it, like how some people
Yeah.
might be upset with it, but there are certain things that I do want them to change because it makes the show interesting for me. I've already read the comic,
yeah.
so I want some differences. So I liked it. Plus, it gave a little action to that episode in tandem with all the other action that was going on in other scenes at the same time. So it like framed it really well too.
Yeah. I think Ryan, your point is well said, that like there is so much in Invincible, and it is such a long story, that if they were to do everything exactly the same way they did, it would, like, if they did a whole episode all on Atlantis, we wouldn't have gotten all of the other little chess pieces moving forward like we talked about of the other stories, and we'd have to like wait for those stories to keep going. So it's tough, because it is like, I think you have to try and go into watching any kind of adaptation knowing that, like, even if you have favorite moments of something, you might not get to see them in exactly the same way as you saw them. Like, even for me, knowing that like there's stuff coming up later on in the story, whether it's like Conquest or whether it's stuff with Oliver or whatever might happen, that I like love those moments, and hopefully those are like held in the same regard by everybody who's making the show, and they want to hit those in the same way. But they also may change them, and I'm open to that, because like you said, TJ, the comic is there, and if I want to relive that moment, I can go back to it too.
That's right.
But yeah, it's rough,
and it is completely subjective, and your opinion absolutely matters, because if issue 15 were my favorite thing in the whole wide world and they changed it as much as they did, I would be equally as pissed. Like, if they changed something that I never want to see different, like anything with Dinosaurus, if they changed anything, or if Dinosaurus wasn't even in the fucking show, I would flip out. I would be really, really angry. I would probably understand why he had to be cut from it, but I would still be mad. So be mad, man. It's your right, and it's totally get it.
So
I would definitely understand.
So the three of us have Doodles attached to our emails. So Bill, can you go again?
Yeah, I have one more. So, holy moly. Who says holy moly?
Who says holy moly?
That's
if anybody knows what that quote is from, good on you. Good on you.
Simon Pegg is in it, but he's not the one who says it. Oh, no, wait, he is. He's the one who says that quote.
He says holy moly, and then David Schwimmer says, who says holy moly?
No, Simon Pegg says
no, you're right. It's switched.
Who says, yeah. Holy moly. Season 2 is the gift that just keeps giving. This latest episode might be my favorite yet. Oh, that was smart to put these back to back. It adds so much depth to the story. Do I dare say that the show might be better than these guys are gonna war, bro. They're gonna go to war.
We've got a lot of emails that are gonna fight each other. I like this.
And we did these out of order. We were randomly picking these emails somewhat.
Oh man. But I mean, it's not crazy that with an additional 20 years of experience at the team of talented writers that Kirkman could improve on what was already a masterpiece, but I do have a concern. At the pace we're going, it seems that we will get Thraxa soon, but do you think that means we also get Omnipotus? I wonder if events like that and eventually the eventually the Invincible War will carry the same weight without the larger cast of Image superheroes the comic draws from. We've been introduced to a lot of villains in the show, but far fewer heroes, and without heavyweight spin-off characters like Brit, Tech Jacket, etc. Will those plot lines be as impactful with just the Guardians of the Globe? What do you all think? All the best, Murad. No, I don't think that.
I think it will, because of this. Maybe if we don't get a spin-off of Tech Jacket, if we never get that, he's gonna be a character in Invincible. I don't believe that they're just not gonna use him in either. If they don't, hold on, if they don't do a spin-off of him, why wouldn't they put him in Invincible? I can understand not putting him in Invincible.
Same reason as Science Dog.
Why not Science Dog, Ryan?
I think
because it's IPs, it's a different property, right? And the reason why they haven't done that is because they might do other things with that character. You know what I mean? But if they're not going to do other things with that character, why not put him in Invincible?
Here's what you should do. You should go in expecting to not see any of these characters. Just assume we're not ever going to see them, and that the creators of the show and the writers have done an amazing job, as they have so far, weaving everything together to make it really, really great. If you see, guys, in this episode, we see, I mean, if you're watching, then we see a Galdarian, and the the sheer excitement that I had of the potential to
Yeah.
see Tech Jacket like is great. But I'm also like I'm going in much like Fletcher, where I'm just gonna expect to not be disappointed, but to just understand that these things won't be in the show, and if they are, I'll be super excited.
I think like so you say Omnipotus as one example. Omnipotus was like Adam Eve, the Rexplode, Duplicate, it was the Guardians, but then there was also Brit and Tech Jacket, right? But then there's also like
Mhm.
a dozen of the random Capes characters, right?
Yeah.
So you have two characters, the Guardians, and then a bunch of filler. Take those two characters out, you have the Guardians and a bunch of filler who we know that exist in this universe. Look at episode 3 from season 1 or whatever, when it's the tryouts. You get a bunch of those guys in there, and then you have the Guardians in there. Yeah, you're missing Brit and Tech Jacket, which at the time of Omnipotus, when you read that, there's a good chance you didn't know who either of them were, because they were the spin-offs that was their first appearance. I'm pretty sure that was their first appearance in Invincible anyways. So again, I don't think it's that huge of a deal. I know that when it comes to later stuff and Invincible War and everything, when you get into other Image comics and everything, but I think it's going to be a little bit smaller, and I think that it'll be fine. Bill?
I have a hot
Ryan,
take.
What
God damn it,
percentage
TJ.
would you put
Fucker.
that we see Tech Jacket in Invincible and related to
I
Invincible
think
in
it is
some way? in
probably
animation?
among the highest of the spin-offs at like maybe 50%.
The fact that we
That's
got
your
it-
highest?
The fact that we got
50%?
it, yeah, I would put it there too. The fact that
go.
we saw Galdarian is the only reason
88% chance
you're
we see
fucking
him.
out of your mind,
88%.
TJ.
I was gonna
You're out of your
say,
mind.
I'm
if we-
saving this episode.
I was gonna
I
say
am
if
on the
we-
website.
If they can
Head
only
over to
do one,
theinvinciblepodcast.com.
if they can only do one, like let's say it is a complicated process, there's rights involved, there's all this stuff. If they can only do one, I would want it to be Tech Jacket. So I
Tech
hope
Jacket,
that
absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because it makes the most sense
He
for the
has the
story.
most.
yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
We
And
we
he has the
want
most longevity.
Wolfman, but we need
No,
Tech Jacket.
Wolfman. Nope. We need Wolfman. We need
Alright.
Wolfman.
I have one
Go.
hot take based on this email. What if we get one episode that is solely dedicated to introducing all these new heroes,
that'd
and
be
Omnipotus
so
is like
cool.
the next?
That'd be so
Bro,
cool.
seriously, what if it's like, oh, all these other heroes exist? It's not just the Guardians. Like
Almost like the
how
beginning
fucking-
of Issue
And if
50.
we see,
Or wait, at that point I think it was 49, when you get to see
Yeah.
everybody and what happens to them. Oh,
What if that was like an Adam Eve special episode? They do a special episode introducing like a lot of
Oh, the
the
Invincible
more side
universe?
characters. Be cool.
I don't think it'll be its own spin-off thing. I think that it will actually be like one of these episodes. That would be fucking cool. I would be shocked if they
Yeah.
did that.
All right, I've got one from Luis Cortez. Hi, Invincible Podcast. I really enjoyed episode 202 of the animated show. I like how this episode felt more like the comics, having multiple storylines occurring at the same time. I'm intrigued by Eve's storyline and look forward to seeing where it goes. I also had fun watching Shapesmith. The show really brings out his personality from the comics to life. I could see him becoming a fan favorite this season. Thanks for adding the doodle section. It helped me rediscover the fun of drawing silly fan art. I attached my doodle for this episode. I look forward to seeing it in the podcast. I'll try to do one for each episode going forward. So you guys, if you want to click on the first blurry image I sent you guys, this is Luis Cortez.
Oh my
Shapesmith.
gosh, so good.
Wow.
Isn't that awesome?
That's awesome.
That is like
really
that's like
cool.
a Disney character.
Totally.
Like that
Yeah.
looks like he could be next to Rapunzel. Like it's so good.
That's really
Yeah.
good.
Fantastic.
Shapesmith is incredible. I mean, were you talking, Bill? Look like you're. Are you
Yeah,
muted?
you're muted.
Sorry, my dog was going crazy. It's okay. Go ahead.
Shapesmith is so good in episode 2, and then as you just
Oh
saw
my
in
God.
episode 3, like we talk about it more,
Hello,
which we're about to get
chums.
to our takes on it. But like, oh, so good. Who are you? Like,
Where are
we're gonna
you
talk about it.
from?
We're gonna talk about
That's
it.
so good. All right.
But yeah, so good. I have to use the bathroom real quick. I'll be right back.
Okay, no.
Sorry, you have a question?
No,
for
you
me?
go. Wyatt, let's get your email.
Yes. So I have one from Chris. He says, "Hey guys, another stellar episode. I was so stoked when the pieces fell, revealing the black and blue. May have yelled a bit in excitement, but that's neither here nor there. The imagery in the show is really just top notch. At first, I thought the constantly opening door might be revealed to be Damien Darkblood, like he was trying to send a message to Debbie and Mark about opening a door, wink, wink. But I love the real meaning. It just seems everywhere Mark and Debbie go, they're confronted by their past. Plus, Mark's already internal fear of becoming his father is just exacerbated by everyone else externally. The way everyone walks on eggshells around him about Chicago and what his dad did only increases the pressure on him. In any case, so glad to be in the Invincible era. Loved the Mortal Kombat 1 stream and can't wait for more. Below you will find my doodle. I tried to go for simple this time by just drawing the aforementioned scene, hoping I could at least make that look good, but somehow it still looks like a kindergartner. I even tried adding collarbones, but I have no idea what I'm doing. Stay awesome, guys. Love,
because we talked about your stupid collarbones and how good you were at it.
So this is the third image I sent you guys.
Wow,
nice.
I like it.
That's very good.
He's wearing the mask, right?
Yeah.
No, that's.
Oh yeah, the little breathing mask.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's super your father, Mark.
Nailed the costume, Chris.
Oh, okay.
Great job.
Yeah.
Collarbones.
All right. TJ, you're up with your.
Did I miss a doodle?
You did. It's the third one.
The third one that Ryan.
The third one.
Yeah.
He tried to put collarbones on him.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's cool.
And then TJ, you've got our final email and doodle.
Oh, okay, let me find it. It is okay. It is from our friend Giorgio. Yep. And he says, "Hey guys, I'm a longtime listener and a huge fan of what you guys do. The best days at work are when a new episode drops and I can listen to it while I drive. I'm an overnight Amazon truck driver, ironically, LOL. After listening to the last few episodes fan questions, I finally decided to throw my hat in the ring. What has been one way Invincible has bled into your personal life outside of the books, show, and your amazing podcast? For me, it happened when I got married in January, and my best man, my older brother, said the speech Nolan gave to Mark about being invincible in the pilot. Totally unexpected, and I was crying my eyes out. That's fucking amazing.
My God, nothing beats that answer.
As always, keep up the great work. And here's my doodles. Not the best, but it was fun, Giorgio. So let's look at that.
This is the second doodle I sent you guys.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh!
Right? Oh, that is awesome!
That's awesome.
Isn't that great?
That's so good.
Oh my gosh, that's so amazing.
That is sick.
Dude, thank you so much. Oh, I love the time that people put into these too. Like,
that's so cool.
That's really good.
I know.
Amazing.
Wow.
Bill as Dinosaurus is just the best.
That's amazing.
So good.
so TJ's Rex, right?
Yeah.
Bill's Dinosaurus.
I think I'm invincible. I don't know who you are, Wyatt.
I don't know either. I'm gonna have to look.
You're
closer.
Cecil.
You're
Cecil.
I am.
Yeah,
Cecil. I love that. I love that. That's so good.
Oh my gosh,
that's
this
hilarious.
Is so good. Thank you so much, dude. That's so sick.
I'm gonna print that and keep it in this room.
You guys, whoa! Look at the background. Are those all issues of Invincible?
Yes.
Look
at all the comics he has stacked up. That's an issue 1.
Oh wow, that's amazing.
I know.
Nice little
Easter egg. Yeah, a little subtle brag there about how many comics he has.
Yeah, I know. So
all right.
What do you guys think?
What has been one way Invincible has bled into your personal life?
I mean, my son's name is Grayson because of Invincible, so I feel like I guess that's probably the biggest way that it has. Yeah,
and that's a big one.
So I have two I can mention. First of all, I'd probably have a little more money than I do now because I spend a lot of Invincible merch and original art and posters and so much. But also something that Invincible and the podcast has led us to is like new friends. First of all, being Wyatt. We met Wyatt because of the podcast. And I mean, I will say, like you said, outside of the podcast, but we're all friends with Wyatt outside of the podcast. So
true.
We also had made another really good friend that lives locally. Really good friends with a guy named Mike that we met that that reached out to us for the podcast
Mhm.
who ended up being local. We've met so many people over the years.
It's hard to say things other
know.
than like not through the podcast though, because it has become so big and because Invincible has gotten bigger. I mean, it is crazy anytime like a friend or somebody, an acquaintance wants to read it or asks, "Oh, have you heard about this thing?" And we get to have that opportunity. It's like, well, yeah, I know about that thing. The
Yeah.
only thing that I could think of was um, uh, for my wife and I's honeymoon, we went to France and got to go to Paris. And then for our 1 year anniversary, Katie got me, which is paper, by the way, the traditional gift is paper. Katie got me a page, the first page from issue 54, which is Mark and Eve uh, uh, in Paris. So it was original art of that scene of them in Paris. And Katie doesn't watch the show. She doesn't read the comic. She doesn't listen to the podcast. TJ helped. Uh, but that is not really, it's of course related because of what I've done with the podcast, but that was something that bled into my life in an important way. And that was pretty cool.
Yeah. That was really cool.
So my high school, what do they call them when you're voted most likely to whatever?
Oh,
Lord.
Superlative.
There you go.
So, so glad I got it before you, Ryan. You're mad, aren't
No,
you?
I'm
Aren't
glad.
you mad? So the high school superlative, I was voted most likely to become famous, and
Here you are.
Here you are.
here I am, and I really feel like that has happened, at least for me. Like, I feel like I have achieved so much.
But you and
through
Ryan went to the same
Invincible,
high school.
and well,
Bill's a little more famous. It's true.
I'm a little more
Okay.
famous, I think, maybe just in my own mind. But I think the big thing that where I was stepping into was the fact that we're in a comic book, and the fact that we're characters in
That's
a
right.
Eisner Award
No.
nominee for best new comic. I mean,
In Radiant Black.
in Radiant Black. So we're reoccurring characters as ourselves in that, and that was like the I can hang my
Yeah,
hat
right.
on that. You know what I mean? I can say if I don't do anything else with my life, I can hang my hat and say that happened because of Invincible. Obviously, Kyle Higgins found the podcast and we became really good friends. But it all
dude.
just snowballed from
Crazy.
that. So
Crazy.
Yeah.
But
I know it's
A lot of
hard.
good
It's
things.
hard to not separate things from the podcast because I feel like Invincible and the podcast are so tied
They're
together
so-
now.
exactly.
There's so many amazing things that have come from just loving this comic and getting to celebrate it with you guys, and then with all of the other fans who listen and check it out. And
that's
it's
right.
great.
And now we get to talk about, I'm going to say it, and I say it in a couple seconds, my favorite episode of Invincible. My God, guys, episode 3. So this is it, right? We're going to our breakdown.
this is it. We're going to it. TJ doesn't seem happy that this is your favorite episode. I don't know what that look was
We
about.
can talk about it next week.
But
No, I
in
I
our
get it. We'll
recap.
talk about it. No,
One thing I do want to talk about is we've got Thanksgiving next week. I know this is a little bit of a time capsule thing that won't matter for many people in the future. But if you want to get your emails in for your thoughts on episode 3, you should have them in by next Tuesday. Please have them in by then, because we're going to record a little bit earlier next week than we will be normally. So get those emails in. I want to hear your thoughts on this episode, this massive
And
episode,
doodles.
and your doodles
And your doodles.
by Tuesday.
Yes,
By
please.
Tuesday night. And then that's it. Keep an eye out for our live streams or any videos, whether we're playing Fortnite, whether we're playing, playing the Adam Eve game. And then we'll be back for episode 4.
yeah. And for the love of God, go to theinvinciblepodcast.com and see what kind of special presents Ryan has.
the fun videos.
Yeah.
Bill
and fun
knows
videos
it's so
on there.
great. Bill is
Bill
going to be
approved.
the first one to tell you.
Number one fan.
All right,
Number one fan for the
Bill
website.
from the past, take it away.
Here we go. And here we are with our episode 3 recap. The episode title is This Missive, This Machination, which we were trying to figure out what the title meant and where it came from in the comic, and Ryan was
Even
humorously
before watching it.
looking through the comic like, do you think this is it? Do you think this is it? And then after we were done, he looked at the title of the issue and it was this Missive,
Of course.
this Machination.
It's just that bold text that's just like kind of in the background, like, you know, and it was like, oh, duh.
Yeah, it's a part of the background,
Exactly,
so you like
yeah.
don't even look at it.
Yeah.
Oh man, this episode, guys, this episode. So this one's coming in at 46 minutes and 13 seconds, and I cannot believe that they were able to jam pack as much story into this as they did. So let's get our quick recaps out of the way, or thoughts. So who wants to go first?
I'll go first. I feel like I could be pretty quick because I'll have more to say when we do the actual full breakdown. I've watched this, both watch it and in the background, at least 6 times in the last 2 days. This is the best episode of Invincible, in my opinion.
Of Invincible, even
season 1 and 2. This blew me away, and it got better with every watch. Everything from like the voice work, everyone included, you know, new people in this episode and current cast, the emotional beats, the comedic beats, the way they adapted this story from the comic to this. Every scene means something more than what is actually being told. The foreshadowing, not only for this episode, but for the, you know, future stuff coming. Like, this episode blew me away. I absolutely loved it. It's my favorite.
Yeah. I'll echo what Ryan said. I've been going back and forth in my head on, do I think this is the best episode of the TV series so far? I definitely think it is my favorite episode of this season. Out of the 3 that we've watched so far, I think that it's the best one, or my favorite one, I'll say. Because yeah, it was, for as much as last week we said that episode 2 was just packed with so much stuff, this one even more so. And I feel like there were so many things, even though that they were things from the comic, that I was surprised by in this episode, that like had me either laughing because of how funny it was and how unexpected it was, or just like shocked that what is happening is actually happening. And I loved every minute of it. And it is the perfect tee up to our mid-season finale for the next episode. Like I could not be more excited for the next episode.
Mm-hmm. TJ?
I thought that, you know, echoing what you guys said, the thing that I think really stood out of this episode for me, or really for us, is that we've been doing this podcast for 7+ years, and it surprised us. It tricked us. Like, all of us were like, oh, this is about to happen. And it went in a completely different direction. We were like, holy shit. Like, all of us, like, when we watched it together, we're just like freaking out. It was a surprise. There were really, really funny moments. Going back and rewatching it, I'm like, oh, I forgot this happened this episode. I forgot this was this episode. It was like, it was packed. There was a lot to it. And after the previous episode, episode 2, which was packed with all these different storylines and new characters and all these different like tie-in pieces from the comic, this just exceeded that. It was just amazing.
Yeah,
it's interesting, like you're saying that, the TJ, real quick, just like episode 2 having so many different things. It was just kind of like almost like a medley, or just like this cool collection of all these different stuff. Whereas this one felt a little bit tighter to me, where it was like all these storylines are things that are progression, like things that we already know some of that, and moving it further. Whereas like episode 2 is like, here's a bunch of new stuff, new introductions to people, new storylines being added and everything. Whereas this one was like, all right, now here's moving things forward much quicker than you might have even anticipated.
Yeah. Episode 2 was very almost montagey.
Yeah, thank you. That's the word I was looking for.
Yeah, like montages of story, which happens in the comic a lot.
Super fun. Yeah,
and then this one is like all these threads expanding. So TJ, I mean, to everybody's point, it had so much in it. It was jam packed, and it had so much actual comic book lore in it. But it also had time somehow to expound on it and add things to it. Like you get Rudy and Amanda going on their date, and then there's more to it. Like there's Debbie, and there's more to it. Like, it's just insane that they're able to do so much in less than 46 minutes.
Insane.
It's fucking mind blowing.
And I'll say again, like, the funny moments really hit. There are really good funny moments in this.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
and they start soon. So. Let's get in it. And if you're curious as to why I'm looking up and over, it's because I have a wall of notes.
A massive
mean,
wall
Bill
of notes.
prepared. Bill prepared. He
Yeah.
has several notes on the wall.
We'll see.
Everyone,
We'll see how well I prepared.
applaud
Though.
at home.
So it starts, oddly enough, with a time jump, right? Because
A little bit.
last episode we got where they were talking about summer break. They had
Or is
just
that-
graduated,
Yeah.
and now they're in college. So,
Couple months
it's
at least.
3 months maybe
Yep.
at the most. So it's Mark and Debbie. She's dropping him off to college, and it's the empty nest syndrome, and she's sad about it. And she pulls out the card that we saw, the SOS card, and yes.
I just want to point out, she's talking to Mark about how, she's going to miss him. He's leaving. He'll be home this weekend. He'll be home Sunday for dinner. She's trying not to cry because he's leaving, and the whole empty nest thing that you're saying.
Mhm.
This is the last time she sees him for a very long time. And
I
then
mean, you could say-
rewatch that scene.
You could say the same thing, like he just went to college, and he wouldn't, if he was a normal college student, he wouldn't have seen his
No,
mom
I know, but I think
that often,
I
but
think
you're
that was
right.
intentional, because then later you
Yeah.
find out like she's wanting to text him. She's texting him. He's not responding. He goes,
Right.
"Oh, Amber, can you tell my mom?" Like Mark is not talking to his mom,
Mhm.
and then he's gone for a long time.
I thought about that part, and that's at the end, and my mom would be so mad at me if I acted
Right?
like that. So mad at me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the Viltrumite in Mark. It's
But
not
again,
just,
like,
you know,
but add that on top of her reaction to him going away to college. Like there's
Right.
so much there, even with that little, interaction they have in the beginning.
right.
Yeah.
So so Debbie calls SOS, and it sounds, someone answers the phone, and it's kind of jumbled, and no last names, that kind of stuff. Do you guys know who voice acted Carol?
I didn't
That
look
woman
at
who
the
we
credits,
actually-
actually.
I didn't look.
Leah Thompson.
Oh wow.
Back to the Future.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. Mhm.
that's
What?
awesome.
That's really
It
cool.
was. It's
That's
so
really cool.
awesome. Listen to it again.
Yeah.
You're like, oh my god, that's Dennis the
shoot.
Menace's mom. No kidding. so we get Mark and William in the room. Mark hangs up one single poster, and it's Seance Dog. And William is like, this is a joke, right? Like, we're supposed to be in college, and we want game. And Mark makes a joke and says, you're gonna look so much better than me, pretty much. And it does a little like pan of William's side of the
Yeah.
room, and there's like a throw rug down.
Yeah.
There's lights around. There's a big W, and there's a poster. Do you guys know what the poster is? Do you remember what it is?
It was like a Lady Gaga reference, right?
No, it's
Lady Yaya.
Maybe,
Yeah.
something like that.
he has a
Yeah,
Magnum
yeah.
PI.
Oh, that too. Yes.
He has that one too.
Magnum
Yes,
PI
that's right.
poster on the wall. Completely random.
I did like the comedic bit of Mark asking if the poster was crooked, and they both moved their head
Yeah,
at the
moved
same
their
time,
heads
the
over.
same angle,
Yeah.
and the
Mhm.
poster is in fact crooked.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great.
There's like that. This episode just seemed like it was kind of set apart from the rest, with like those type of movie moments, and
Mhm.
like even the animation looked really, really, really good.
Yep.
So William talks about the sock explanation.
My
and-
God.
Yeah. So, and the sock never moves; it just stays on the door, which is pretty funny. It comes back.
Especially if watching it, after watching it for the first time, he very clearly just leaves it on the door.
Yeah.
Like he
Yeah.
never takes it off.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
it's
Even
Mhm.
when Mark went back and was like, "Oh my god," I'm like, that looks like it's still just there from before.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So someone comes up, and it's a bunch of students, and they're like, "Oh, whose toys are these?" And it's Mark's collectibles,
Mhm.
and Seance Dog is right on the top, and he's gonna bring it in the room, but then he goes out sadly to the dumpster and chucks it all out.
Because he looks down the hall and he sees a bunch of like grown people, like they're all in college,
Yeah.
and none of them have toys and everything. At this moment, I turned to Ryan and I said, because when he threw it out, Seance Dog was on top of the garbage, and I was like, they're not like setting this up already, are they? And like Ryan and I both were like,
no, they're just building that.
Yes.
Like,
Mhm.
Yeah.
like reminding the viewer, hey, Science Dog is this character to him, and he means a lot to him. So it's like, yeah, that's great that they're building it this
Seance Dog.
Seance Dog. Yeah, it's great that
Mhm.
they're building it this early. Yeah.
Yeah.
hmm
Yeah, and I mean, we went a long time without seeing Mark's nerdiness. Like, we saw it in the first episode, and then like maybe the second episode when he's cleaning up his room and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
this was like a reminder, like, hey, he likes comics, he likes toys.
So again, unlike where I feel like, maybe scenes in season one or so where there's great, moments here and there with this episode. So you get Mark and William in this scene, and we get, the reference to Seance Dog, important. The reference to the sock on the door, which leads into the next scene, which leads into Mark talking to William about uh why can't I think of his name? Rick. Thank you. So like
Rick,
even
yeah.
the littlest things all connect in this episode in such
Yeah.
a great way that the writing in this episode like is just so good. Sorry.
Yep.
No, absolutely. So they talk about the sock on the door. Oh, Mark goes back after throwing out his toy, and the sock is on the door, and he's like, and then it's
Who has sex
Mark
on the
saying,
first day of
"Who has
college?"
sex on the first day of college?" And he's in Amber's room talking to her, and she, like, I'm intimidated.
Bro, this
by
was
that.
like
I would be like, whoa, am I ready to have sex? Like, if Amber's just like, we can right now, why not? Like, my roommate's not coming back until tomorrow, or my roommate doesn't come in until tomorrow or the next day. And then she even has condoms ready to go.
this was like
We are all sitting very
pretty-
close together on the couch so that we're in the laptop so that we can talk to Wyatt while it's happening.
an awkward
So we
moment.
are like watching this and it just kept going and we were like, holy shit. Like,
So, as you guys know, I very excitedly watch Invincible with my children. And I had to TJ, you were there for this part.
Yeah.
And I was just like, la la, sex noises, don't listen to what's going on in the background, because they were like doing it. But I mean, you guys get like some of the funniest shit right now where she's like, Amber's legitimately scared. Like, I would be frightened. She's like, wait, do you have like super sperm?
Mark's reaction
and Mark
oh my god
says, no, it's normal. At least I think it's normal.
Not
like,
that I would, I mean,
not that, yeah, like he's like, oh shit, like,
So good.
whoops, that was a tell. And then
Even the moment too when she says like, "You're not gonna crush me, are you? Like, I've seen what you can do," and you see him blush. Like, there's no change in the actual like drawn animation, just the color. It's so good.
and I also
It's
like
so
how
fun.
he's like, no, that's not something I would do. You know what I mean? Like, like I can choose how, like, but it's like, nah, just to be safe.
If I were to be having sex with a super person for the first time, and it was their first time having sex, I would be worried that they would get too excited and accidentally crush my pelvis. Like, I would be. So Amber smartly says, let me be on top. And then we get our first song, Headaches, by Ravina, playing in the background. Just short, little modern lovemaking music.
And
so if you guys are in the mood, put on Headaches by Ravina and try not to have super sperm. So then the narration happens, which happens in the comic book. Narration. And it's actually Paul F. Tompkins. Now, you guys probably know him. You've probably seen him. He's a comedian. He's got a gap in his teeth. I know him from playing Mr. Peanut Butter from BoJack Horseman. Yeah. Which you guys should definitely check out.
As soon as the narration started, we all knew what was coming. We all knew this was happening. It got so excited.
Yep.
And it's so funny too, because I feel like that, looking back now, that does feel like such a like sort of iconic part of the comic. And I never once was like, ooh, I hope we get that. Like, I bet we're going to get that like narration of jumping away to avoid the sex scenes type of thing. And as soon as it happened, I was just like, of course. This is like, it's such a smart move.
And it sets this episode apart and makes it the best episode. Ryan, I would almost agree with you, because it has
by the end of this, you will agree. I'm telling you,
like,
this is
like, people loved season 1, but this right here is the first time that they're going to understand what makes Invincible so
that's
special,
the thing.
because it's not afraid to do things like this.
And not just that, like episode 8, like the finale of season 1 is absolutely incredible, but it is very singular, and it's incredible because of that. It is a very personal, and the entire thing is this one confrontation and how it plays out and what is being said and what is happening, which is incredible. It is amazing. This brings us the scope of Invincible and does it in such an amazing way where everything is tied together, and the, between the performances and everything, like I said before, like, this is Invincible.
So this was almost kind of jarring. So the narrator is talking about, let's set our gaze to the stars, to Unopa, and the animation here is just like stills,
frame.
which lasted, I think, maybe 5 minutes too long for me. Like I was like, are they going to do the entire story like this? But anyways,
I agree. No,
digress.
I agree. Like, and it is kind of jarring when that happens, and it's like, oh, it's not the fully animated thing. And I think I've come around on it since the first viewing of it, because I was like, oh no, this is just like, when Nolan tells the story of where he really comes from. That's like this. Anytime they anytime they tell stories, it's in this kind of like still frame thing. And I know, I'm sure it's for budget reasons and everything, but like, because they're keeping that consistency of like, okay, we're telling a story, it's almost like a flashback that you're getting in images. And TJ even said like, oh, it almost feels kind of like Disney-ish, like almost like, or Disney World, like you're getting like this brief narration of different things set to images. And I think it worked fine for me, but I agree, it could be jarring.
So the narrator explains that the Unopans, the Unopans who were killed first didn't even know who their conquerors were, and the Viltrumites conquered Unopa in a few days. And due to the Unopans' unfaltering patience, they waited decades. I don't know if you caught that, Ryan, in your 6 watches, but like decades went by before they constructed all those guns, those lasers. So they had an underground, apparently. 10 years later, they tried to uprise against the Viltrumites, and they just decimated them again. And a few surviving Unopans went off into space and started their breeding camps.
And it was brutal what they were showing too, just like ripping them in
half and stuff like that. Yeah,
nuts.
For being still images, it was still very graphic and gory. So the Unopans go off and start their breeding camps, and in secret, or as part of the breeding camps, they also tried to create super soldiers that would be able to fight the Viltrum Empire. And guys, what was the funniest one? What was the funniest test tube?
The funniest bit is how they're like, oh, they were, some of them just very unsuccessful, like they're these grotesque monsters.
Which one?
And then it just shows one with 2 eyes.
So the 2 eyes one was good?
Oh, clearly that they just messed up so bad because it's got 2 eyes instead of 1.
My favorite mess up was the one with like hundreds of little baby legs.
Yeah.
That one was funny.
Yeah, it was very funny. So because of what they were doing, the coalition caught wind and asked that they join the coalition of planets on Telescria, and this is where we get our first introduction to Thetis, and we get him voiced by Peter Cullen.
And it is perfect.
Exciting.
It really is perfect.
It is.
It's so good.
Yeah.
So commanding.
Let's see here in my notes. There we are. So we get
I love the taking down of the notes too, and like, all right,
So we get a little still montage of Alan, and he's fighting in VR. And if you look in the background, there's a very infamous episode of the Invincible podcast where the spoiler alert, one of the people on Telescria, one of the women, she's this lizard lady, and we always like she talks like this, and Alan is fighting one of those lizard people in the background. Yeah, it's Alan's like this in the tube.
It does kind of look like her
in VR. It's one of them.
I think it's
one of the races.
I think it is. Yeah.
That's cool.
Nice.
So it's Alan goes out, still can't defeat Viltrumites. And this is where he takes on the title of the planetary evaluation officer.
Yeah.
And the whole point of him doing this is not to ensure that these planets have people that can defeat him. It's he's trying to find allies that can defeat Viltrumites, and that's the whole point. And then, thank goodness, the actual animation starts, and it's Alan flying, and oh my god, guys, the narrator says, to change the entire universe, you have to be, and then we get the title card of the episode.
Alan
sprayed,
and then the alien.
Yeah. Fantastic.
So to what is, I mean, other than the Radiohead one, this is the best needle drop so far. So this pumps you up. It's so exciting. You get the title card with the blood splatter, and then it's him flying through the atmosphere into Telescria, and it's just like, hell yeah, it feels so good.
And I'll say this now too. I'm glad that we never got the Invincible screen like later on. It was just it stayed the Alan the alien. Love that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean,
because
I
this was
was-
an Alan episode,
Right.
and all that was just a post-credit scene.
Yep.
Well, and when we had speculated that they could do a full episode just on Alan, I remember feeling a little like, oh, but I don't want to miss all of the other like storylines that I want
Yeah.
to progress more. In this moment, when they did that title card, I was 100%
Same.
in. I was like,
Yeah.
give me a whole episode
Yeah.
of just Alan because
Same.
I'm in. It gets you so hyped, and it's such a good mix of the action and the humor. Like, perfectly sells you on like, let's go for this
and
ride.
Seth
with Alan.
Rogen just killed it. Like
Yep.
he showed so many like
I feel like he was a little more Alan this season than Seth
100%.
Rogen.
yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
he was a little bit more reserved. There wasn't a lot of that like over the top like
Well, and they gave him more to do in this other than just kind of be a little silly and make jokes. Like
Yeah.
his scenes in season 1, most of them are meant to do like set up the Urath stuff. You know what I mean? Like all of those scenes are more comedic, whereas this one he gets a little bit more to do besides that. So I think you're right. We do see more Alan and less Seth Rogen.
right.
Yeah.
Exactly. So he lands, he talks to the I don't know, technician people that have like the tube in their head. And he gives them
Are
he gives
revealed in
them-
the comics much later than this, so that was
Yeah.
a really cool surprise. That it was like, oh, it's those guys.
Yeah,
That was neat.
and they're
I
just
think-
like, "Where's the data log?" And he gives them the data log of everything that he found on Earth, about Mark, about Nolan, and all that good stuff. Go ahead, TJ.
I just think that we're going to get a lot up more of that as we get deeper and deeper into
Yeah.
the series, where it's like, you know, the way Robert Kirkman, I imagine, wrote it is like you get to a certain point and you're like, oh, I'm going to make all that stuff that like from a long time ago about this. But now that we know that it's about that, they can set that up so much earlier now. So
right?
I think we're gonna
Yeah.
get a lot more of
Yeah.
that.
That's great.
oh, yeah.
And I think I didn't say the name of the song. So the name of the song is "When You Want Me" by Spielberg, and
That's
it's Speelburg, and it's a
Spielberg.
very good song.
I feel like
Spielberg.
we have gotten less music, you know, in the first 3 episodes than we did compared to the first 3 episodes of the first
Yeah.
season.
This
but they
episode
still-
has 4 songs in it.
Yeah, there's more. There's definitely, I think,
Yeah.
the most in this episode, but they still like hit. They're still so good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think Radiohead and this one are the
Yeah.
two that really do it. The other ones are still good, but like I'm glad we had this Alan moment.
There's a song in this episode that's coming up
Yeah.
that I think is actually the best one.
Me too.
And it is not a licensed song. So
All right.
So Alan walks through the halls of this building, the Coalition, and he is introduced to General Telia, is how he pronounces it. Telia.
Telia.
Yeah, Telia. She tells him that one of their newest allies, the planet, was just hit by Viltrumites and destroyed, which is super weird because they were just added to the Coalition. Alan goes into the council, and let's see, who wants to talk about the races that
My
we see?
God.
on the
So
council?
I'm just gonna flat out say, everyone up there are character designs from this scene in the comic.
Yeah.
You've got the Battle Beast race. You've got there's 2 other races that are really interesting designs that are from the comic. And then there's a 4th race up there, Bill.
Arguably the most important one that
Go
is
for it.
there.
What is it?
It's a fucking Galdarian, guys. So
Tech Jacket.
So Galdarians are the creators of the Tech Jacket. Tech Jacket is a character, Zach, in the Invincible universe. Comic that I believe, Ryan, correct me if I'm wrong, came out before Invincible didn't it?
Did.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was the first one.
Because the preview is in the back of issue 1.
Right. So the fact
Mm-hmm.
that Galdarians are in this means that Tech Jacket is going to be in it. And that technology.
I
Come
think
on.
Tech Jacket will be in it, but I don't know if that's what that means, though. You know what I mean? Like, I think
it's
I think
possible that
eventually
they
Wolfman will be in it.
drew the character in
Eventually.
there, but they don't have the rights to Tech Jacket. It is possible. I know that they're connected, but
Yeah.
they could draw that alien, but they don't have the rights
Mhm.
to Tech Jacket. You know, there might be something like that, but it does bode well. It is
Yeah.
a step in the right direction.
It
for us
bodes
getting Tech
very
Jacket.
well.
I-
It bodes very well.
I don't think that it means that he's going to be anytime soon. I think it's going to be way down the line. And I
Because
we
the-
say
some of the-
that.
Some of
We
the
say
best
that.
parts of Alan in the comics are Alan and Tech Jacket later in the series. So, man.
Alan and Zach have the fucking greatest friendship
Yeah.
that has ever been around. in
I'm
comic
gonna
books.
say it. We get Tech Jacket next season. I'm gonna say
Oh.
season 3 we get Tech
We
Jacket.
have to, guys. We have to. Which makes me
Hope so.
feel like we may even get him this season as an introduction because him being in the next season during all the stuff that we know that's coming, probably.
If we get him this season, it's going to be the way that we got Conquest in season 1. It'll be like a panning shot where you'll see him there, but we're not going to get like I don't think they have. Well, I mean, if they've done season 3, they've casted him, but I don't think we're going to get him in like a speaking role.
I think that it would be as quick as Russ Livingston on the shuttle, and you're like, his little marching thing moves.
Yeah.
Like it would be like Zach in school, you know what I mean? And he goes, like, his shirt's open and he's got like the tech jacket underneath, and people are like, what's that? Like the little Easter egg of Donald.
I just want side movies. Just make side movies and like put
Well, we kind of got that with the Adam Eve special. That's what I want. Just
exactly.
Get us one of those for Tech Jacket.
Oh,
perfect.
Oh no.
Things like that. Things like that would be.
Oh my god.
That's what we need. That's what we need.
Yeah.
Just do side stuff. Give them their own story. Yeah.
Okay.
Perfect.
So now the rest of my notes that I have are all on Tech Jacket. So this is a 2-part episode. All right. So they he talks about, like, you know, Mark and Nolan and why they should use Mark as an ally, and the council, understandably so, doesn't believe anything that he's saying or doesn't trust it because they think that Mark could turn. So then he talks about like how they fought, and Thetis, you know, says something I think that we heard in the trailer, that Viltrumite against Viltrumite hasn't happened since the Great Purge, which we saw a little bit. Yeah. So they're walking out, and Talia and Alan have a really great conversation, and Talia says something very interesting. She says, I thought they didn't crossbreed. Like, they're all about the purity of their race. Why are they crossbreeding? And Alan says something really funny, and this is like the tone that I'm talking about, where Seth Rogen really killed it. And he just very like calmly is like, yeah, that would have been a great question. And
like, why weren't they asking me questions like that?
Like that, instead of just yelling at me. Like, it was great because it was like, it made you feel bad for Alan. Like, he's such an awesome, I don't want to use the word cute, but he's very like, he's just a nice fucking guy. And he's like, and they just yelled at me. Like, and you're like, oh, they did yell at you, and you're just trying to be this nice guy.
Yeah.
And I feel like it also sort of establishes the larger politics at play in the universe, right? Of like, you know, the coalition's not perfect either, but they're at least like trying to stop the Viltrumites, and Alan is like trying to work within that system, but there's, you know,
and of course
people yelling at him.
A very good question that can lead to, you know, we might have answers for that later in the series, like cool foreshadowing.
Yeah. And I think this is going to be an interesting episode, because this is the first time that we are introduced to like aliens, multiple races of aliens, multiple planets, like this huge lore.
And I think doing this as a like side story, like intro, it's the Alan show type thing, was a cool way of doing it, instead of being like Mark, you know, instantly at, you know, Telescria, and like Mark's in this world now, even though we saw Mark on Mars, but that was a little different.
Well,
so I'm curious,
cool because for them to do it this way, because in the comic they kind of panned away from, you know, Mark and Amber's sex scene in the same way, but they just went to a different thing. It was in the comic, it was just a recap. So
so Thetis comes out and says, Alan, it's a little weird that, you know, our new allies are getting hit. I believe that there's a mole, and he wants Alan to figure out who the mole is in the coalition that is feeding the Viltrumites information. So then Alan flies home, goes to his apartment, and he is attacked. Well, he meets his little cat. What's his cat's name?
It's like Vorg or something.
Vorg or something like that. It's a one-eyed cat, of course, with 2 buttholes.
Yep.
Which I thought was interesting. So does Alan have 2 buttholes?
Maybe.
Who's to say?
I'm not gonna be able to let that go now that I do Cyclopses have 2 buttholes?
Write it down for the next time we have Kirkman on. That's Bill's first question.
So tech jacket and 2 buttholes on
there you go
on Cyclopses.
I like the idea that you'd find a note that says that like months from now and be like, I don't know what this means.
Why does this say 2 buttholes?
Why does it say tech jacket 2 buttholes on it? So Alan and Talia are dating, and they have this sexy little, like, he's got her up against the wall, and they start to do it, and we see the tentacles come out, and then the narrator's like, "Oh, tentacles! This would be a good time to pan back to see Mark and Amber on their first day of college," and it pans back, and it's sex noises,
Still sex noises,
and so
the box of condoms, and it's like, oh yeah.
So then he goes
the
back,
narrator just doing the oh my, like
oh
it's
my.
so perfect. It's so well done.
and then
Paula
going back to
Tompkins killed
Telescria, and Alan and Talia are still doing it, and then he's trying to talk about
He's
the
like,
cat.
Look
"Oh,
at
yeah.
this over
Look
here.
at this cat right here," and it's both of them.
It's
Everyone having sex noises, and it's the funniest thing.
it's so funny.
It's so funny. And it's
And
like
it's not just like a joke. The way the performance is done, it's just gold. It's so
and
good.
Alan and Talia just like, and it's like over the top.
Yeah,
like it is so funny.
Yeah.
And if you, I mean, in the
Even-
comic book, it's very over the top as well.
Even the line that the narrator gives, where he's like, "Here we have a Unopan feline, which perhaps unsurprisingly has one eye." So good. So funny.
So let's see. Okay, so
this episode,
now,
guys. Oh my god.
I know, it's so good. So now we have on a space station, Alan and Talia having dinner, and he's eating
Cancel.
Canslock. And Talia comedically says she doesn't know how he could eat that stuff. And this is my favorite gag. This is my favorite gag in the entire show.
So
and he's
gross.
like, "Oh, well, he doesn't seem to mind." And it's whatever Talia is eating. It's this like creature with arms and a head, and she's just eating his brain, and it's eating the Canslock. Wow,
Yeah.
it's so
Well, it's
funny
being
and
eaten.
random and stupid.
Yeah.
It's just a cutaway just for that.
Yeah.
We get a cutaway just to so we get Canslock, and it's worth it,
Yep.
and it's
Mhm.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Guys.
Yeah.
I understand the ending of this episode, and I get how important it is, and there's so much. This is the best scene.
This is insane.
This is the best scene in this episode,
two
and if it's the
episodes.
best
It's
episode,
2 episodes.
if
because
this is the
this
best
is the-
episode,
Yeah.
this could be the best part. Oh man. Okay, so Alan starts to tell Talia about how he's like, "All right, I'll tell you about."
Well, he
know,
talks about
there's
how
the-
beautiful she is because
Yeah,
this
they-
planet.
yeah,
and,
whatever,
there's
whatever.
this really cute moment between them,
Yeah.
and she asks about what did Datus have to say.
Yeah, and he's like, "Oh well, it's interesting." Oh wow, Koba. Sorry guys. So he starts to talk about it, and then I jumped. Like I literally was startled by Alan being torn out of the space station, a hole being ripped open, Talia holding on because she's getting sucked out into space, and the force field comes by and she flies and hits it, and there are 3 Viltrumites
Mhm.
and the one that grabs Alan, I believe, was Lucan. Am I right?
Yeah, we see
Yeah.
it looks like Lucan,
It's Lucan.
and we also have got Thresh,
Thula?
Thula.
I think
Yep,
her name is.
Thula.
Yeah,
Thula,
Thula.
and then a third who we don't know.
We don't, yeah.
But yeah, Bill, the moment it's coming because we read the comics, but the way they interrupt what he's saying
In the middle of his
so
sentence,
perfectly that
was-
it's like
It was still jarring.
it's so and every time you watch it, it's still jarring because where they chose to interrupt him and how violent it is, nailed it.
Yeah.
So Alan gets pulled out. These 3 Viltrumites are there, and Thula, who looks much older in the show than she does in the comic, which, now that I'm thinking about it, I'm pretty sure they just want to make it so she's very, very powerful and strong, because the older they get, the more powerful
They've
they
been
are.
around for a while.
And the slower they age. So she's probably very, very old. Thousands of years old at this point.
We did see her at the Great Purge flashback, didn't we?
She
She was there next to Conquest and Craig.
Oh, and
think
she
so, yeah.
did look younger.
Yeah.
She was
looked
younger then.
substantially younger.
So
Yeah.
it was that's cool though.
So she says in her best lizard lady impression, "Oh, tell us about the Viltrumite on Earth," and so she's asking about Mark, and Alan is like, "Seriously, how do you guys know about this?
Yeah.
Like, I want to know."
Yeah, he says, "Who told you? I'd really love to know."
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Shout out to him
she's-
spitting blood every time he spits blood, and it just
It
kind of
stops.
stops. Ah,
stops
Yeah.
and freezes. So she talks. She asks about the father, and he's like, "Oh, all you Biclopses look the same. Which one's the father? Who are you talking about?" and I believe this is when the talking stops.
And he looks.
And he looks behind over his shoulder. Guys, this scene, like,
I
I could
know, I
literally
know.
cry. I could
know.
literally cry at this part.
I know.
He knows he's gonna die. He knows that he stands no chance, and he looks back and he offers a smile to Talia, the last look that he can give her, comforting, like, "Hey, baby, I love you." And it was so heartfelt, and I fucking adore it. I adore it. And we get this scene of him getting pummeled by these 3 Viltrumites, and he gets his eye knocked out, like in the comic. He gets his arm chopped off by Lucan, and then hits him with it.
The shots that are like far away, and you just see them like shooting across, and and then like they'll hit him, and he'll spin, and the blood will spin with him. Like they
We
did
should
such
also
a good job.
Star Trek did this really well too. The remake Star Trek in 2009, where when it went from an atmospheric area to the vacuum of space, you get that really hollow noise.
Oh yeah.
So every time that they would hit him, it was like
muffled a little bit.
It was awesome. It was so good. And then Alan gets Thula Viltrumites punches through him, and then we get a panel for panel shot of what he looks like in the comic book after this happens to him. So that's
incredible.
it.
You're right. It is one of, I think, the best scenes in the whole show, and because
music
it's in the
Did you
middle
mention
of
the music.
The music is not licensed.
The music is what makes it. The music is what makes it.
Yeah.
It's just very like sentimental, very
Somber.
like it makes you feel just sad on top of,
Again,
actually
TJ,
being sad.
you were over my house as I was watching this with Riker, and everyone stopped what they were doing. Like Liz was doing something, and everyone stopped, and even Liz was like, "Oh my god, the music in this!" Like, it's jaw dropping, guys. It's the best fucking scene.
I think part of the reason it's so jarring and like it grabs you is that we just had a scene where you're watching a bowl that has a brain in it eating other things, and they're making, you know what I mean? The whole episode so far has been the funny, jokey, lightheartedness, and then they just immediately hit you with the biggest threat, the scariest people,
and
that
so
we've
smart
met so
of
far,
them
and
tee off Viltrumites in the like intro, like talking about it. Like again, there wasn't a moment wasted in this episode to remind you, like, hey, these guys are bad. They messed up. They took out this entire planet, and now there's 3 of them with Alan. So you know what that means when he looks back.
Yeah. And up until this point, the Viltrumites have just been a scary story to this show. Like, it's only ever shown them in flashbacks. It's shown Nolan, obviously, who's a Viltrumite, and Mark. But like, this is the first time you see them for real in the show, and it's kind of terrifying. Like, it's like, oh no, this threat isn't something that's just looming. It's here. It's everywhere.
Yeah.
And it was awesome.
And they're very much like Terminators at this point.
Right.
Like you just know there's nothing that can stop them. Yeah. They make a point to say that like through all of Alan's training, he still couldn't beat a single Viltrumite. And they phrase it that way too, so that, like you said, when 3 of them show up, he just immediately knows like, I'm gonna give one last look and say goodbye, because this is the end.
The look. And he smiles to her. He smiles. Because he smiles like lovingly. He doesn't like give her a sad look or look scared himself. He smiles. Oh my god, I wish I could have that much grace when I'm faced with 3 Viltrumites.
The first Viltrumite punch, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nolan does
Immortal.
it to...
yeah, that's true.
Immortal.
That's true.
Sure.
That's true.
Yeah.
First Viltrumite punch of season 2, I should say.
Right. So then we get... Brian, you said it too, like, while we were watching it live. You're like, I'm glad they did this. So he's still alive. It shows him with the bandage around his eye. He's in life support. Talia's very sad.
Because the shock is important, and what happens to him is important. But the, like, is he going to survive isn't really that big. Like, I'm glad they didn't wait till, like, 2 episodes from now. Alan's still alive. Like, I don't want the cheap, fear of that. I want it to be like, no, he's still alive. There's still a heart rate, but something happened to him, and that is what's important.
Right, exactly. So, Thetis comes in and he says, I know that you guys were important to each other, but this just shows like how strong we are and how strong the Unopans are, because they still underestimated his ability to survive. And then he just goes and shuts off his life support.
After Talia walks
Walks out.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's just like, oh, I'm sorry, Alan.
But
turns it off.
But to the point of, it's like, oh, I'm glad that they did that. They didn't carry on like, is Alan alive or dead? And then, oh, he's still alive, and then immediately, nope,
Yeah.
he's dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then what a cliffhanger to end the episode on, guys.
Right.
And that's it. That's the end
That's
of
the end.
That's the end.
22
minutes in. That's the end.
Crazy.
This is the moment that I started moving the cursor on my screen, being like, "There's no way."
I believed it. What's
you?
stupid is I believed it because I was like, "Wow, that was so
shorter
much.
episode.
Like so much happened."
You said
it didn't feel short.
You said something. I can't remember what you said, Bill. To be like, because you're about to tell us. I forget how it reopened, but you're like, oh, are they gonna like end it with this? And I was like, no, dude, we're like halfway through this shit.
Yeah.
You did. You literally. Yeah. So are they gonna? So we get
before. I mean, last time to mention Talia, voice actress name. Trying to think of it. It's
Tatiana
Maslany.
Yeah. Sorry, Tatiana Maslany.
She was also the Aquarius queen, the queen of Atlantis.
Yep.
She crushes it as Talia.
Yeah.
She did. She had more to work with.
She is Talia. She is
right.
She is her. She's
Talia.
great.
She was awesome.
Talia. Sorry.
Talia. So I just wanted to shout that out before we move on.
Yep. So we get our end of our after credit scene, which lasts for another 26 minutes.
Our after credits episode.
Yes.
Yeah. Guys, this is what I mean. Like this episode is so good because it just plays with everything. Like it's like, oh, you want an after credit scene? Here's the second half of the episode. Like we don't need to. Like, oh my god, guys. Okay, so it's
I love
probably it starts with one of the most mysterious characters in the show and in the comic, Duplicate, working out with herself, giving herself motivation to do reps.
Well, which one's working out?
Is it the first? Is it one?
It's one because they all come from one.
Yeah.
Right.
So one needs to get stronger.
Working out all the rest of them.
Right.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So Rex walks in and he's talking about how he's still mad at her for cheating on him, and it's this really funny scene. And she's like, "You cheated first," and he's like,
"But it worked. But it worked in your benefit."
Yeah. But what's important about this scene?
Oh my god!
Is Kate's explanation as to why she is connected to the immortal and why they're in love. And I talked about it last episode or before, or maybe I talked about it when we finished this episode, but I did talk about it because she was experiencing the sexual times her duplicates were. So they're feeling the same thing. And she says, we share something that no one else does because he has probably died as many times as I have.
And nobody else has
nobody
that.
else
I can't connect to anybody else that has that.
It's like Kirkman heard me say, what is with her clones? Like, does she just do they feel anything? Do they fear? And it's her killing herself over and over and over again, and she feels it and experiences it, and I fucking love it.
If you add up all the time life spent among all her clones, she might have lived as long as
and then she says that too. Not only have they died the same amount of times or around the same time, but they also have lived the same amount of time or the same length. Why? You look mad.
No, it's such a clever piece of writing because it not only explains like the technicalities of her powers, like you're saying, Bill, where it's like answering a thing that you could have wondered about her powers, but it also adds to her character in such a way that like I already like the show Duplicate way better than I ever did in the comic. Like she was just kind of there in the comic. There are moments where like they add more to her character, but this scene and the performance and her explanation of like why she connected to Immortal, I was immediately like, oh, I understand her on such a different level than having read the comic as many times as we have. Like, it's so cool.
Yeah. And not to say anything not bad about the comic book, but I mean, Duplicate, Kate and Immortal just you're introduced to her love life by her and Rex having sex and her being the one who he cheated on with Adam Eve, and then now she's with Immortal. So it just seems like she's just going to the next one, but this one is like she's so heartfelt. And she explains like, Rex, what we did we weren't together. This is something important, and this is why. So kudos to the showrunner, to the writers, to the voice actors for making Duplicate like, as well as everybody else, a very well-rounded character compared to how she was in the comic book.
Yeah. So she
All
tells
right.
Rex that you won't, you don't get it. And then Amanda's actually listening this whole time. And she's like, yeah, and he doesn't get it.
Yeah.
So go on. Because
This is
yeah. So this is all great, and she's like, "What are you gonna do? Punch my
Star
tooth out
of the
again?"
show is about to show up.
So the door opens up, and it's Shapesmith, and he's like,
hello, chums.
Oh, hello, chums! Like, I just wanted to run in a stationary position."
Are any of these
and
Rex
Rex,
positions taken?
and
then
Rex,
where are you from?
yeah, it's,
Really?
it's punctuated, and
Oh, God.
he says it in such a way that is not over the top Jason Mantzoukas. Like it's like, I liked how it wasn't like, he's like, where are you from? Like,
what the fuck is going on?
It shows like first of all that they're not buying his bullshit about him being human and whatnot, but also like the frustration that Rex just doesn't like him, and he's like just frustrated, like, dude, fucking, who are you? Like, so good. It was so perfect.
And then
you know what?
Smith goes over to the treadmill and just runs backwards without turning
It
it
was
on.
very much like a who even invited you type of like thing.
Yeah.
No, it was
And his dialogue when he comes in and says the chums and says cool beans, it feels so much like he went home and found like 30 minutes of YouTube of just people talking and like picked up some phrases and was like, oh, I can be human now. I'll go and use those phrases.
Ben Schwartz, man. Ben Schwartz.
He's good.
He's killing it. Let's see here. So then Amanda continues to walks in on Rudy sitting down meditating, listening to not Mozart, but
Chopin. Wait,
who is it?
Strauss,
yeah.
Strauss.
And there's a big, hologram of his brain, and when she walks in, it starts shooting off red, and he's trying to meditate and to control his fear. And Amanda explains that fear is an important emotion. Like it helps, be human and all that other stuff. And Rudy continues to explain why it's a deficiency in him and why he has to control it.
I think he
and then
more
we
or
get
less wants to like take it away, remove it.
Fear.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And then he says, well, fear has also stopped me from doing something that I really wanted to do, which is ask you if you want to go out on a date with me.
Mm-hmm.
And Amanda,
it's a great moment too, though, because before he says that, when he's like calming himself down, you see the brain red behind him, and he like takes a breath, and you see it turn blue. Of like he is mastering that and getting rid of his fear. It's really it's a cool detail in the background.
He's filled with fear when she walks up.
Yeah.
That terrifies him, on a level.
It is shooting red the entire time that they're communicating. So it shows that he's like, nervous around her and stuff. So, and I was just saying,
obviously comic readers like to, that know the future foreshadowing of, Rudy wanting to remove something that innately makes him human. Yeah. And that he views as something that, is going to deter him, that's going to hold him back.
Yeah.
Like,
not only that, but it's also an argument that Amanda and Rudy continue to have.
Yes.
And she continues to. So seed is planted. Yeah. And this relationship is going to grow from this moment. So they go on a date. But then we get to, let's see here.
What does SOS stand for?
So SOS on the banner, spouses of superheroes. And we're like, duh.
So I totally thought this was going to be, something
nefarious. Or like,
thank you. Yes. Yeah. We totally predicted that something was going on, like that was bad. Like that.
Yeah.
No, it
was going to be with the CD, the GDA, or I predicted that it would somehow lead to Damien, which we were all wrong.
So luckily it wasn't something like that. It was literally just building on Debbie's grief and allowing her to build more relationships.
And also,
Carol is introduced.
Remind the viewers of how awful Omni-Man is, which is very important to do in this episode.
Right.
God, this episode.
So good. So we're introduced to Theo, who is voiced by Daveed Diggs.
Awesome.
Hamilton.
Yeah.
The Snowpiercer show, I believe he's in as well.
He voices a character in Central Park. This role reminded me a lot of Steve. You get John Hammond to kind of like bring humanity to a character, and then you get David Diggs to play this character. I wouldn't be surprised if we never saw him again. Like if this was it for Theo.
I have a theory.
And it's
I have
he's
a
not
I have
Powerplex, Bill.
I have a Theo theory.
A theory.
A Theo Erie. So they talk about how there's, no last names. Don't tell us about who your spouse is. These are the rules of this, this support group. So Carol in person, you get more of Leah Thompson talking, and it's so obviously Leah Thompson, which is fantastic. And then Theo asks Debbie, they're talking outside, if they want to go to a bar, if he wants to go to a bar, or if they want to go to a bar together, and he's like, it's a dive. And I believe she's texting Mark at this
three
time.
texts to Mark, which he has not responded to. Like the only thing he said was like basically thanks for dropping me off. And she's asking him questions, he's not responding.
I mean, he's busy. Don't forget. He's kind of busy right now.
We know.
But I mean, you should still text your mom afterwards.
Yeah. Oh god.
I mean, you should always respond to a text message, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Then let's see. Oh, so then we go back to Rudy and Amanda. I believe, right? Yeah, this is it shows their date. They go to the movie. This is like shot for shot from the comic book, which is super nice. They go to a rated R movie. And Amanda pays some lady to act like their parents so she can buy tickets because she's done it a bunch.
Way to reinterpret this scene. Instead of, hey, you've got Rudy, who is this super intelligent, like, I will figure out how to get someone else to give us approval for this R-rated movie because I'm the genius here. Instead, make Rudy the one who's like analyzing the situation and being like, that makes no sense. Explain it to me. And have Amanda be the one who's like, dude, I've done this for forever. This is how you get around it. You got smarts.
It's intelligence.
The
street smarts. It's intelligence versus street smarts.
Street smart, book smart.
You got the robot and the human, who is ironically a monster. Like,
I mean, you have someone who obsesses over the logic of this rule, which makes no sense. So I mean, that shows like the obsessive compulsive nature of this doesn't make sense. This rule that you have doesn't make sense. While Amanda is actually solving the problem that exists, and it's just it was great.
It really does feel like, I know in a lot of interviews, Kirkman has said that like working on the show is like him getting a chance to do a second draft. And of all the things in the comic, the relationship between Rudy and Amanda was never one thing that I felt like, could have used a second pass at that, or it needs to be improved in any way. It feels great and very fleshed out in the comic. And the fact that even that is still another aspect that feels like is improved in the show and is given more depth is so impressive to me. It's so good.
Yeah.
He so on YouTube you can find it. It's the Honest Trailers, and it's Kirkman watching the Honest Trailers, and he talks about Amanda and Rudy's relationship and how it's really fucking weird, and how in comic books like these types of things are just like, you have Batman and Robin. Batman lives with this boy, and then they go out at night and fight crime, and people just accept it. And when you think about it, like, Rudy is this older guy that decided to be in a 13-year-old's body so he could date this child who is also an adult. Like, it's just weird. It doesn't make any sense, but you buy into it.
Yeah.
So just a fun little watch if you guys want to watch that video. So then next scene we get Theo, who I have a theory about.
I think I might know what it is. I'm curious.
And they have this conversation, and he divulges the information that he's not supposed to. He breaks a rule of SOS, and he talks about how his wife is Green Ghost. And
which shout out to the very first scene when Debbie walks in, because before you know that about him, when he's sharing with the group, he says like, sometimes I forget that she's not there and I reach over to grab her in the bed, but there's nothing to hold on to. And she's the Green Ghost who can,
that's fun. That's fun.
There's Wyatt.
I thought that was very
There's
cool.
Wyatt being Wyatt, pulling all these great things out of thin air like a fucking asshole.
That's great. I'm
just over here like, he said it was Green Ghost. Bill, let's dissect this a little bit further.
Sandra Oh not only killing it, throughout most of this episode, but that little moment when he says her name, and she just kind of
Laurel?
Elena?
Elena? Is it Elena?
Yeah,
I think it's Elena.
I think so.
I don't know. So I don't. Oh yeah, she doesn't tell him. She actually has to excuse herself. So I'll talk about my theory at the end of the episode after they have their little shindig. So now we're back to Mark, who goes in, he's very tired, and then William's in bed, and he's like, oh, this is where you find out he left the sock on the door.
Well,
And
he like the light
he didn't
clicks on,
actually
and
have
he's like,
sex.
"You had sex with Amber." Like,
Yeah.
like he was asleep a second
Yeah,
ago.
it was
Yeah.
so good.
It's the moment that Mark starts to smile
Yeah.
because Mark walks in, he just looks tired, lays on the bed, smiles, and he's like, "You had sex with Amber,"
Yes, yeah.
like he was watching.
Yes,
so good.
again,
Yeah.
something that's more acceptable and makes more sense given the previous scenes with William and
Mhm.
everything like that. Like they're talking about sex, they're talking about what's going on. It leads us
Yeah.
to Rick. It leads us to the sock on the door.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So they're talking, and he talks about how like they mentioned Rick, and if you guys remember Rick and William they were dating or in love or something like that, and he became a reanimin. So he's like, oh, Cecil says he'll be good. He'll be recovered in about a month, and then there's a knock at the door, which, I mean, you're watching a show and they're talking about a character who you haven't seen, who like,
And
is
William
mentioned,
says, "Oh, I
and
know
William's
who that
like-
is. It's Amber's. I'm coming." He calls her Amber's. It's ready for round 2,
Mhm.
and then
you know, I know I said that the bit with the little thing eating the Canslock is good, but then you also have Rex saying, "Where are you from?"
Yeah.
And then you get this
Dude, there's
fucking
too many.
genius,
There's too many.
genius scene. He
William-
opens the door,
God.
and it's someone saying greetings, and
He says, "Mark
oh
Grayson."
yeah, Mark Grayson.
Dude, so-
and William just
His eyes
closes the door,
widen, closes the
goes over to
door,
his bed,
goes to his bed, grabs his blanket.
grabs the blanket, pulls it over his head, and just
Covers
sits there, and he
himself.
says, "It's for you, Mark."
It's for you.
The minute the door knocked, and the three of us, and I don't, Wyatt, we mute
Yeah.
each other so we don't hear the TVs, but we all kind of like are looking around. We're like, is it Rick? It's not Amber. It's Rick. There's no way. There's no way. From this moment till the end of the episode, all 4 of us are
All of
like
us,
pulling
hands-
our hair out.
Yeah,
like
we're
this.
all.
stressed out.
I'm like
We're like,
leaning
how
forward
long
on
is
the
this
on
gonna
the
go?
couch.
It's
How long
happening.
is this going to go on for? Like, there's no way they're going to continue.
way.
They're
They're
still
doing it.
going.
They're doing
still
it.
going.
It was nuts. It was
So
nuts.
it's Seance Dog. Surprise! I know we finally got there. It's Seance Dog, and Mark flies out, grabs him, brings him back into the room, says, "Who are you? You're not
Dude,
real." And
this
he's like,
moment. It's me, Seance Dog. Fight
Seance
fire
Dog.
with fire. Fight evil with magic. That's me.
So-
And then when they're in the sky and he says, like, there's other universes where
Oh my-
magic
oh
and
my
dogs
God.
are as real as anything else. It's like, we have dogs.
have
Those are-
He's like,
that's
now
sad
you're
that-
halfway to understanding.
"You're halfway."
Best episode. This is insane. This is insane.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
man.
stupid. So Seance Dog
Ugh.
is voiced by Rob Delaney, who everyone probably
so
knows him
good.
from Deadpool 2.
Yep.
The guy with the mustache. What's his name? It's not Todd. Is it Todd?
Isn't it Todd? Todd or
It might
something like
be.
that?
I think it's
Yeah.
Todd.
Might be.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyways,
So they're fighting, and Mark throws him, and he's like, "Tell me who you are and what you want." So finally,
Every
his
time
disguise
they like
goes away.
throw him and his voice like trails or he cuts him off and he's freaking
Yeah.
the fuck out. He's like, "Oh no,
Yeah.
no!"
Yeah,
It's so
and
good.
he's pleading with Mark. He's like, "No, wait, no, wait!" Like he's trying to talk to him. So he throws him in his disguise. Is revealed that he is a insect-looking blue alien with big red eyes.
And this is when the comedy stops, right? This is when it gets really serious. Dude. No, I'm kidding. The fact that he
Yeah.
keeps having to pronounce these words and like,
Yeah.
oh, it's so good.
When he's like, where are you from again? Oh, that's a galaxy over.
It-
about this far away.
That's not too long. It's not too long.
Doesn't matter.
Don't worry
Doesn't
about
matter.
So there are
funny.
guys. You have to. The casual watcher of this show will miss certain things, and when he says, "I'm from Thraxa. It's a couple galaxies away. Everyone knows about Invincible, strong, fast.
Yeah.
My people need you to save us from these meteorites that are destroying our planet." And he says, "It's taken most of my life to get here
Mhm.
to see you.
I'm not a threat.
And then he says, "How long is it going to take?" And a little bit longer in the episode, towards the end, he says it's been 6 days.
Yeah.
So 6 days is the majority of this
Of his
bug's
life.
life.
Well,
Yeah.
12
And
ish.
well, no, I mean 6. He said
hit
it's taken most of my life to get
Yeah.
here, which was 6 days.
Yeah, but it also
So
took
now it's-
6 days to get back. Is what
to
I'm
get
saying.
back, right?
Yeah.
So, and he says that like, so Mark decides to go, and he flies off. He's talking to Cecil, and Cecil's like, "You're not gonna leave the planet to go save like these bug
Well, you
aliens. You're
missed.
not going."
Hold
Sorry,
on.
you missed
we
an
need to
important
go way back.
New
Oh, what part
Alzat.
of it?
William comes out.
Mark,
Oh yeah,
Mark,
Walzat.
yeah, Mark,
Yeah.
Mark, are you kidding? New Alzat came all the way here from, and you're just gonna, dude. That,
I also-
and then William
yeah, oh,
Shatner,
yeah,
I
yeah.
also
Daddy,
love
how many bug people are in danger here?
a lot.
42
Oh,
million.
A lot. And he goes, no.
42
He's
million.
like, I need a.
No, like
I need-
Yeah, but like a number.
42 billion.
42 billion. Mark, you gotta do this. Like,
Yeah, dude.
gold.
So
It's
good.
so good.
And also, just shout out to the fact that William also forgets what Thrax is called. You know, that's
Right?
just
I
been
mean,
a
come on.
long-running thing of
Yeah.
like that you just forget that name. So
Yep. So
Oh,
Mark
3 years
goes,
ago.
pisses Cecil off, and he takes the earbud out, and
dude, which again, he says, I got to start listening to myself before I listen to you. Something that Amber told him last episode and it kind of motivated him to go back and fight the people or fight
Right.
the depth dweller.
depth dweller.
But the
yeah.
whole
Depth
the
dweller.
whole thing of him, like this season started out with him begging Cecil, give me something to do, put me out there, and Cecil's like, no, you need time to grieve, you need time to be on your own, and then it ended with him like really Cecil was kind of under the gun and needed somebody like Mark, and he goes, no, because Mark is like, listen, I'm gonna listen to you, I'm gonna take orders, like whatever you say, I'm gonna do it. I promise you,
Yeah.
I'll take orders. And then like
Yeah.
an episode later.
And also like everybody reminding him in the first 2 episodes that, you know, what your dad did, and he's scared that he's his dad. And then he gets the realization that I cannot be my dad if I try and save as many people as I can. And I think of myself, like what I think is the right thing to do first. And now he's becoming headstrong. And
I don't like
yeah.
how like every single time Mark says something Cecil doesn't like or does something that Cecil doesn't like.
it's like, "Ooh, your dad's
Yeah,
like
exactly.
that. That's what your
It's
dad
like,
said."
all right, dude, chill out.
Yeah.
Come on.
Like, come on, man. Like,
It's
try
a
some
little-
try some
little
different
bit.
tactics, okay?
Yeah,
It's a
I
little- yeah.
liked that only because we heard last episode Cecil do the whole like, oh, sorry for bringing up your dad again.
Mhm.
Like he knows that
He
is
knows-
a touchy subject for Mark, and that made it more serious of him being like, that's what your dad said. Like
Yeah.
him just flat out saying, you're acting like your dad right now,
I think-
which he knows is going to hit
Yeah.
Mark hard.
I think that shows
he was attacking.
that shows that Cecil is not a good person.
Mhm.
He's not a an honest person. He will only say
He's
what
manipulative.
he needs to say to manipulate you. So you got him being all, "No, Mark, take your time off," and blue, 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 and you're nothing like your father, and be like, "Bro, you're acting like your dad." Like you're like, "All right, Cecil." Kind of an
Another-
asshole move.
Another thing I just remembered, the conversation when Debbie's dropping Mark off, you know, find out who you are. And I don't mean Invincible. Like, again, reminding like him and the viewer, like he's figuring out who he is, not who
Yeah.
Cecil's telling him to be, you know? So
Mhm.
they're driving those themes home as well, which also,
Right.
I love the moment of him like, will drugs even work on me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she's
Not-
like, "Don't
You
find
need
out."
to find out.
Yeah, you don't
Yeah.
need to find out.
It was a good line.
So then the scene changes to the last bit of Debbie and Theo in the bar, and Debbie, I cannot fucking believe. I mean, you have a scene where you have Cecil being the most manipulative, dishonest person in the whole world, and then Debbie, who is willing to just put everything on the line to be honest with somebody and say, "My husband's Nolan. My husband is the one who killed your wife."
Yeah.
And
Dude.
Theo instantly is like, "You should not come back to SOS." Like it's
Yeah.
It wouldn't be a safe place with you there.
it wouldn't be a safe place with
she
you there.
says, I wish my husband had just died. I wish he had died, because what the fact that
Then
he's
I could-
alive, he is so much worse because of why he's still alive and why he left Earth, because he
Right.
did some awful things. And he says, I wish he was dead too, but not for your sake. Love
Yeah.
that line.
Yeah. Which again, we had from the trailer that we had no idea the
And
context.
we
Yeah.
Theorized the shit out of that
That's
quote,
right.
trying to figure out what it is, and lo and behold, it was Theo who said it. So here is my hot take.
And wait,
My hot take.
before you say
You don't want to wait.
Bef-
Go ahead.
Mm.
before
No.
you say it, the other like heavy hitter was as he's walking away after saying like don't come back to the group, she says, I didn't know about him, and he looks back and goes, you should have.
You should.
You should have.
So
Yeah.
good.
And
And
then
I think the reason that hits so hard and it's so heartbreaking is, I think I talked about it last episode. The reason that I drew the cabinet door hanging open, those scenes were like showing that Mark and Debbie can't help each other. It's just something's broken. They can't help each other. Here's the one place where maybe Debbie can get some help is other people who've gone through similar things, and she gets rejected from it. You know what I mean? Like it's her last hope to get some kind of like help, and it's nothing.
What is the last thing she does in this scene?
Cry.
She looks to the stars.
Looks up at the stars
where Mark is and Nolan.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which I know you have one more thing to say about Theo, but before this scene, we had one more thing with Mark talking to Amber. And, he says, she says, don't apologize for saving people. He says, tell my mom. And then there's a long silence. And he says, Amber? She's like, yeah.
They're flying away, by the way.
He's flying away.
Yeah.
Yep. And he says, I love you. And that there's the call
phone.
Disconnected. So did she actually hear it?
I took it as she did it.
I love that they don't cut back to her. I love that they don't cut back to her because Mark doesn't know, and neither do we.
That's great.
When I was watching it with Nicole, and when that happened and it said call failed, I heard her go like she was heartbroken. It was great.
She's such a girl. So I'm going to tell you my theory really quick
what's your
before
theory?
we end it. So my theory is that in the comic book, spoiler alert,
I know what you're going to say.
Debbie and Paul end up together. And he's a
not what
throwaway
you thought,
character that
Ryan.
doesn't really mean anything. It doesn't really mean anything. And Paul was introduced and thrown away. I believe that they're going to make this a much more impactful relationship, because in the comics it's like whatever, Debbie breaks up with them, whatever. Imagine that she and him build a relationship, overcome these differences, and then Nolan's alive. Like, that's creating conflict that I don't even know how they would resolve. And I think that's what they're going to do.
I think that's smart. That's a smart way of.
I could see it. You sold me
Ryan,
on it.
say what you thought Bill was going to say.
I thought they would do the reverse, and the original Green Ghost would be replaced after the fact.
That's what I thought too.
Because in the comics, we see, when we first see Green Ghost, he is the new Green Ghost before Nolan kills him. And it's
which could still happen.
It's the Green Lantern ring. It's whoever swallows the stone.
Exactly.
He could have the stone.
So when
he could take it out on Omni-Man.
Yeah.
Which could still happen. Imagine she starts a relationship with him. He's Green Ghost. Nolan comes back. Fight. That could be cool. Fight. It was fight.
That was a weird way to signal.
Tune into YouTube to see why it made some of us laugh.
Yeah. Or don't subscribe to YouTube. Just listen to the audio version of it. All right. So
final scene.
Now we get the final scene, and they're on Telescria. It's very beautiful. It's peaceful. There are no asteroids or meteorites.
Angelic music.
Yeah.
So the song, believe it or not, is a licensed song.
No way.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Nice.
It is called "Forever" by Juliana Barwick.
Huh.
Seems kind of
very cool.
Look at that! Look at my research.
Look at you.
What I did.
I couldn't find. I was able to find the song of Debbie and Theo in the bar, but not the song that plays when Mark is flying in the spaceship.
Do I have that one? I don't
I
have
sent that one over to you.
Oh,
the one where they're in the bar is Ballad of a Thin Place by R.F. Shannon.
there you go. For all you little Easter egg hunters out there that need every song to make your Spotify list, like Ryan, because he's obsessed.
So they get out of the ship and they're walking.
They get out of the ship, and Mark is very sus. He's like, "Where's the threat?" And they're like, what threat? Like,
the meteorites that are plaguing the planet.
Yeah, and he and Zualat says, "Oh, you know what? Maybe it's a little bit of dementia. We age a lot faster than you, and that's probably what I'm experiencing." So
but don't worry, the Monarch will explain everything.
The Monarch will explain everything. So Mark walks up, is really enjoying the scenery. The camera pans up to where you think the Monarch is. It shows a shadow of a person walking out, and lo and behold,
you hear him.
It is Nolan. And he
you
says,
just hear.
And he said, "Son, hello, son." It's been a while.
You see him holding out
And
the
he
hand.
says, "Dad?"
And you get the awesome like
Credit scene.
zoom in shot
Yeah.
where the like it's like warping behind him. It's so good.
They
yeah.
like must have been in the booth like mixing this episode, and they get to the point where they have to, turn up the sound or like, adjust the audio of Nolan saying, "Hello, son," and they're like louder,
Yeah.
louder. It's so deep and like
Mhm.
it hits you when you hear his voice.
Yeah.
And then so when
Yeah.
it cuts to Mark and he's like shocked, and then it shows Nolan
Yeah.
in his monarch garb reaching out. It's been a while. Oh,
The whole time leading up to this, like once we saw Seance Dog and once we saw them leave Earth, and it was like, especially after they landed,
I still didn't think
I
that
was
it was
like-
gonna. I still didn't think it was gonna
I
happen.
kept saying over and over out loud, I was like, it's gonna end with Nolan, and it's gonna cut to Mark, and he's gonna look angry, and it's gonna cut to he's about to attack Nolan, and then it was gonna cut to credits, and then episode 4 would open up to him like looking angry, and then just like dropping
hug.
and then giving a hug. I was close, but he didn't look angry, which makes me curious as to how the next.
no, I
episode's
like that.
gonna
It was
open.
just the shock because
Yeah.
it's just
Mhm.
Yeah.
what's going to happen.
That's what I would
after that
do.
shock.
Yeah, I wouldn't. Yeah.
Oh
Exactly.
God.
There we
Guys,
go.
that felt like a finale to me. That was huge. That is
Yeah.
a huge episode. And I can't, like TJ, we talked afterwards. Like,
We thought that
I
was
thought
going to
this
be
is-
the finale or the
I thought this
mid-season
was going to be
finale.
episode
Yeah.
4.
Yeah.
The episode 4. I thought this is just icing on the cake now. We've got one more episode.
Yep.
What are they going to do? What are they going to do? I mean, is it gonna be
Probably way
episode
more
8
than we
again?
think.
Is it gonna be-
Probably way more than we
is
think.
it-
They're
is it- Is it just going to be the stuff on Thraxa? But likely there's like 4 other things that could be happening on
There-
Earth that I think are too big to also do. I don't know.
No, they're gonna do it.
How?
They're gonna do it. Listen,
I don't know. I can't think they're going to do all
Ryan,
that.
episode 2. They fit so many stories in there, and none of them felt rushed. It was
If they do everything I think they could do, it's
if they
That's too
do Rexplode and the Lizard League. Holy shit.
and Sequids
Holy fucking shit.
They
and
probably
Thraxa.
could.
They could
I
end each
just
of all
want-
of these on a cliffhanger. And that's why Robert Kirkman could have been, when he was at San Diego, trust me, you guys are going to need a break from this episode.
This is
Think of
huge.
the massive, like,
Yeah.
they could set up so many cliffhangers with so many different people, so many different characters. Oh my gosh, please give me all of it. Please.
What I love too is
Please?
Kirkman said many times to us that like season 2 is just fucking leaps and bounds.
We're only 3 out of 8
more and
episodes.
better than season
Yeah.
1, and it's oh my god, what a fantastic show, guys! What a fantastic.
We are.
season so
Can you
far.
believe we got this? Like that? Like this exists?
No.
That's insane,
Bro, when he opened the door and it was Seance Dog, it's like we had we had never known that was gonna happen in the show ever.
No,
and
I
we
know.
knew it was coming,
Yeah.
but we were still like,
Yeah.
holy shit, this is like Christmas and New Year's and my birthday.
It's funny
like-
because, like, as we're recording this, I know that when people won't actually hear this for like another month, but a month ago, back in our current time where we're recording now, we just saw the Invincible season 2 spot during Thursday Night Football, and like when I saw, I was watching because I watch football. Like I was watching the game, and I'm like, holy shit! Like Invincible just popped up on the screen. I'm like, oh my
Right.
god! Like this is supposed to be my secret. It's my thing that the world doesn't know about, and it's like my secrets are.
It still
are on the
shocks me
screen, are
anytime
on
I
live
see
TV.
something in public.
Yeah, it was very
that's
cool.
I can't-
So it's
I can't
growing.
wait for everybody's reactions. I mean, yes, episode 1 and 2 were awesome. They were very good. This episode was something so special, and I can't wait to see people's reactions to this. I hope people freak out.
Yep.
yeah.
It reminded me of the Titan episode and the online reaction to that, where like even the Invincible Twitter account was like, "I'll report back that the internet thinks this one is a banger," is what you call
Right.
it. And like I feel like this is going to be that episode
Yeah.
where it's the first 2 are going to be like, "Oh man, it's back! It's so good! I can't wait to see where this is going. Where this is going." This is going to be the episode I feel like where people are like, "Holy crap!
Yes.
Did you see
Yes.
episode 3?" Like,
Agreed.
Yep.
so
Should
good.
we do
So,
our doodles?
So to wrap up our episode 3, this Missive, this Machinations episode review, we're gonna wrap it up with our Invincidoodles. So
I would
who would like
be surprised if not a single one of you did the same exact thing that I did.
There's definitely
There's gonna
we
be
have to double up. We haven't doubled up yet,
Yeah,
but I
there
think
has
it's
to
coming.
be. There
We
has to
haven't.
be.
There's
I
also
don't think it
something
is.
there's something I hope somebody drew, and I almost did, but I was like, nah, I'm not gonna, because it would be really
So
funny.
I'll start.
Of
I
course.
was going to draw what I didn't draw, but I was going to was Seance Dog doing the
Damn.
racing in the hallway, but I knew I couldn't nail that pose, so I didn't draw it because I knew that would be too hard.
Alright.
So I chose something a little easier to draw, which
Nice.
is just a
Very
a
nice,
bowl
very
full of-
cool.
Look at the
full of
shadow.
Those look
Who
amazing.
Who draws a
That was great.
shadow? I hate you, Wyatt. I hate you.
They look great.
Very cool.
So those are my can slots.
Talented motherfucker. You.
Ryan,
Who's up? You want me to go?
it's gonna be mine. I know it's gonna be mine.
Nice.
Wow.
That wasn't mine.
Sorry, guys.
Just an
Too
eyeball.
soon.
I don't
floating
think
through
I don't
space.
think that it's fair that you used red. To be,
If I was
I'm being
ever going to use
completely
red,
honest.
it would be here.
Okay,
True. We
So,
didn't make any rules
there
that
were
you
no
couldn't use
rules.
color.
that's true.
Bill, do you want to go next?
TJ?
So
I'll
it
go
was
next.
if anybody's listening, it is Alan's eye floating in a bloody space.
Okay, ready?
Whoa!
Oh, nice.
Also,
that is
Alan
very
with,
did
hit with a
cool.
hole punched through him and Thula in the background.
And you can see Thula on the other side.
very cool.
Nice job.
Missing
Good
an
use
arm,
of
too. He's
depth,
missing his
Bill.
arm.
Oh yeah, his arm and his
Yeah.
bone is there too.
Yeah.
No,
Good job.
Very well
none of
done.
us matched.
You didn't double?
No,
You didn't double up.
I did.
I mean, mine and Ryan's is kind of the same. Same.
So-
It's the same
Can I,
thing.
can I
scene.
say it? I don't think you did it, TJ. But I was really close, and I thought it'd be really funny if I just did the box of condoms.
I was gonna do the box of condoms on the nightstand
Imagine
too.
if 3 of us did it.
All condoms from different angles,
No, I
or super sperm, like a sperm with a cape on
Totally
it.
thought of it.
You did?
Oh, I thought of it. Yeah. And I was going to do the cape in red. Go ahead, TJ.
All right. TJ,
I
go
did
ahead.
traumatized William.
Oh!
Yeah, that's so good.
TJ, if I may, that
That's
looks
awesome.
like you.
Dude, you've got the background, his mirror.
You got the
and
Lady
posters.
Yaya poster in the back. Yeah,
That's so good.
Thank you.
that's awesome.
Good
Very
job.
good
Again,
job, everybody.
testament to how much we're getting that none of us are drawing the same thing
know.
on any of these episodes because there's so much that they're giving us in every episode.
And I like that we're just drawing a moment. We're not drawing a favorite scene.
Yeah.
We're just drawing something that we're like, I could draw that. That'd be fun to draw.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
good. My God. So do we I mean, we've kind of been working in predictions as we go. I don't know if I even really need to give anything. We've talked about.
I don't think we should,
Yeah,
guys.
I'm ready. Let's do
So
this.
we kind of already said our prediction without saying what it's going to be. There's a bunch of crazy things that happen around, like, around the same time in the comic, and we think that the big moments for each of these characters are going to end in season 4, I'm sorry, episode 4. So here's hoping.
If they do a Return of the Jedi, like 3 planes of action type thing, I don't know if we can. I don't know if I mentally can handle this. It's going to be crazy.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Honestly, if the episode was 5 minutes long and all I got was little baby Oliver,
Oh
I'm
my
a happy
God,
camper, that's all.
oh
That's
my
all I
God.
need. That's all I need.
Honestly, I feel like after last episode, after episode 3, I honestly just feel so satisfied that I'm like, all right, I'm good for another several months.
Yeah.
Let's do this.
For those people who are mad at us for being able to watch this show, a little bit for the masses, maybe this you can be happy about, that we have more time in between, theoretically.
Yeah.
True. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that does it. We're gonna call that the episode here. This is our episode 3 breakdown. We'll be back next week for the mid-season finale, episode 4. And of course, we're starting every episode with your thoughts. So send us your thoughts. We can't wait to hear what you think of episode 3. We'll talk about it at the beginning of our episode 4 breakdown.
Send us your doodles.
Send us your doodles. Send us your thoughts, and man,
And rate Bill's preparedness for this on a scale of 1
Bill,
to 5.
good job. Bill, good job.
Hey,
yeah.
You did really well.
Hey,
Very excited to see the podcast review of your performance.
So yeah, email us at theinvinciblepodcast@gmail.com. Follow us on all the socials, and we'll be back in a week.
And by that, when you see us again, we will all will have seen the entire first part of season 2.
yeah, so exciting. And we're gonna go now to watch it. We're gonna finally watch the 4th episode. We're gonna have our own little pre-Invincible Friday on Friday. This is a week before episode 1.
oh my
I'm
god.
so excited. So
can't
then
wait.
we'll be back soon.
See you guys next time. Okay, bye.
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 Is me looking like this too distracting?
It looks like you're just lost in
Yeah,
thought.
it's not too
It
bad.
just looks like you're.
I mean, is that the
looking
highest
up.
one? Because there's a next
That's
row.
the highest one.
What's
This
the
is
next
the next highest level.
That's a little
And then-
better.
And then this is the last row. But here's the furthest right that it goes.
All we need to do is all we're gonna do is call attention to the fact that you have a wall of notes, and then that's why you're gonna keep doing that, and then that'll be fine.
Yeah. All right.
I just got very conscious of how I look on camera because I realized I'm in the goof right now. I'm inside of the goof. Clearly, this is going to end up being the goof.
It might not be.
You never
Something
know.
funnier could happen.
That's fair.